Hello.
Good morning.
Welcome to virtual CAV-CON.
2021.
Hallelujah.
Well,
Glad to be here.
Virtual for everybody out there live and in person.
Yeah, give us a minute while we get settled in here. We got some adjustments to make, lights to change, and we gotta go find John. I don't know where he is. He's hiding somewhere.
Who's that?
I don't know. Some guy with all the goodies that we all want really hot. Hey.
Wait,
See
I think
him.
we
There
found
he
it.
is.
Here we go.
Hey.
Here we go. I'm here. I'm catching up. Okay, so welcome to our virtual CAV-CON, our second one. We have more people this time. So you won't necessarily bored listen to James. Make sure if you don't hear one of us, please yell out. We're sharing a mic so that we're not talking over each other too much. But we introduce everybody, and with the realization we are not professionals. This is our second attempt. We are learning as we go. We're going to have technical problems. We have people that's changing schedules at the last minute, et cetera, et cetera. So, but we will get there. We will get through it. It'll just get better. Saturday will be better than Friday. Sunday will be the best day. And then when it's all ready to be done, it'll be over. How we go.
Monday will be perfect.
Monday, it'll be perfect. We'll have it tuned in on Monday. So, so here, attending live, we have James on Monday night and on CAV-HQ with me. We have Todd. He's come in. Todd is one of our staff painters and is a great airbrush guy. He's going to be showing some classes here. We have Hugh, which is he won the raffle ticket for having to be here for 3 days. So he's the lucky winner, but he's going to be here. He's going to be helping us, showing some stuff with mods and stuff. So we're good to go. First hour each morning is just going to kind of be our BS session. Saturday and Sunday we'll be able to kind of talk about stuff that happened from the day before. We really don't have that other than we can talk about what a week we've had trying to just get to this point. But we are live. We are on. At some point, I think some people didn't think it was going to happen. But hey,
We made it.
we made it. We are here and good to go. So, what do you guys think so far? Other than the rough start.
Well, I first visited CAV-HQ.
Talk a little louder.
Willy Wonka Chocolate Factory of miniature gaming. I've never.
I know. I'm trying to make him talk louder.
Never walked in and been so bewildered by the amount of miniatures.
Keep talking. I'm going to adjust a little bit.
Okay.
That way, maybe it would help a little. Talking.
Oh, keep talking.
We're still going.
I don't know. Feel free to interject, guys. I was astounded by it. So it is pretty amazing. Hugh, what was your first thought?
I mean, it's cool to see where all the stuff originates from, but what's even cooler, at least standpoint, the bucket of bits that's just hanging out down there. That
5-gallon bucket of this loose cab bit. It's modder's dream.
yes, and quite possibly CAV-HQ might be minus that bucket.
So just in case you don't know, Hugh is super good at just kit bashing parts together. He will take bits and pieces and make calves that aren't in production yet. You're going to see one of those later in the weekend in his CAV-CON course. Absolutely wonderful conversion. And so when he saw that bucket of bits, it was like
He
like
lit
a
up.
little kid on Christmas. It was
Oh.
like, this exists? Santa Claus is real? It was wonderful to see.
I promise all the hobbyists out there, anybody who's been doing this any length of time, if you think you have a collection, you have nothing
Nothing.
compared to John.
John is like Scrooge McDuck. He could swim in models if he wanted
Swim
to.
in miniatures, yes.
You know, and what's the scariest thing is I have 2 rooms at home. That's pretty equal.
Yeah. That's where he keeps the good stuff.
Yes.
This is just the stuff he lets us see.
So I think about my closet at home, and I'm like, this ain't nothing. My wife never has anything to complain about ever.
Hey, so Krugerrand, I see your comment there in the chat. Sometime this weekend, I will Facebook stream a little mini tour for you. Assuming John doesn't tell me no, I'll show you some of the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah, it's actually going to be okay this time because I actually cleaned a little bit. So it's not nearly the disaster it was last show, but that has been my big goal for the last 2 weeks. But yeah, no, I am kind of a hoarder, and I've been in the industry and the hobby for
It's
30 years.
With miniatures, it's not hoarding. It's a collection.
It's true.
It's a collection.
A curated accumulation of valuable objects.
While we have closets and bookcases at our house that we put in here, John's got an entire building.
So why is Todd the only one without a beard? He actually has.
I do have one.
He has a little bit of a tuft. It's because he's 16. And he's still trying to get it to grow in. So
I have to keep it short for work. So.
Chandler, we all know that you're one of the few people that can even think about rivaling John. Now, I'm not saying you're a rival, but you're at least in the league.
Oh,
yeah.
This collection, that's what it is.
For those of you who don't know, Chandler Scott is an old-time gamer too, and his collection of miniatures is very impressive as well.
Yes.
He is. We call him by Smogs.
I mean, I'm not trying to show off or brag, but I melt more miniatures. Take that, Chandler.
That's true.
We can verify this. We've seen the smelting pit downstairs.
We have.
It's just, it's over the years, some of the stuff, it just sits in a box forever, and I might as well give it a new life. I mean, literally, I have melted down minimum of 2,000 bags.
Yeah.
So just from my collection, I mean, there were shells and shells of it. I had boxes of stuff still blistered.
I remember you showing us pictures.
Yeah, I mean, I just kept filling 5-gallon buckets up with them, come up and clean shells off, and there's still, if you go in that little room,
we
there's
saw
3 or 4 shells of them in there.
We looked.
So
yes, we've been turning all corners around.
yeah, next for the melt up is Warzone, which was a game that came out. I think they've got a new version that came out, but older one, and Heartbreaker Miniatures. And I was friends with a guy there and traded some stuff out when I was still at Reaper. And they have a Japanese faction, like Misha or that. And I have the entire army 3 times. And there's a box, there's a Heartbreaker box in there.
I remember Warzone. I think they've since converted over to resin.
Yeah, but it's all blistered and still in there. That's the pot. I kept it because really cool figures there, but I'm just never going to do anything with it.
Now,
so
the question that begs to be asked then, what are you casting out of all this pewter that you're melting down?
The metal figures that we metal infantry. I mean, literally, that pot holds 100 pounds of metal, and that makes it probably about that deep, probably about that big around. And just after one day of casting infantry, but got about that much left.
So you're saying that the miniatures you're melting down from yesteryear are now going into the metal that's on exclusives?
Yes.
Okay. So think about that then. So when you get a CAV-CON exclusive miniature, then you're in metal. It's composed of miniatures that you might have been years.
It is history.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of history in it.
So we're environmentally
We are.
conscious.
I am recycling.
Right.
So,
Unseen battle techniques.
yes.
CAV-CON is going green.
Todd, being from California, can really appreciate that. We are green. Anyway, I picked up Todd from the airport yesterday and drove back. I think I scared him to death talking about, what's that? Oh yeah, you haven't seen an F5 till it rips the concrete off the playground.
All I have to worry about is earthquakes and stuff.
Yeah.
Falling off into the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah,
No big
well.
deal.
But see, the thing about earthquakes though is you don't know when they're going to hit. Unlike hurricanes or tornadoes,
yeah.
you see them coming, man. So there's like that fear factor. Earthquakes, it's one
not
and
all
done.
tornadoes.
It's like, hey, you, pay attention right now.
We actually have had a whole series of earthquakes.
Yeah.
Here?
Yes,
we
Huh.
centered over by Wichita. I think we had like a dozen, couple of weeks. So I mean, they're all
Real minor
four
ones.
pointers.
Yeah,
Stuff
I mean,
like
we
that.
get hundreds of little tiny ones.
And I've yet to feel one. In all the times it's done it, one came in like at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I was asleep, but it must have done something because I woke up and felt kind of funny, kind of a deal, and there was stuff moving, or I had to, that was from going, so it must have been a decent. But that's the closest I've come to even knowing what it. And I didn't even realize what it was till 10 o'clock or whatever it came on the news. Oh, by the way, we had an earthquake centered, here at 6 o'clock in the morning. So now I know what it was. But all the others I've yet to feel. But my wife and the kids and did you not feel that now? No. So I don't know if it's just because I'm big enough that I can keep the ground from it. I am truly a titan. So anyway, all right. So Friday we're having to adjust our schedule a little bit. That's the reason I didn't get it posted yesterday. We had somebody that changed their mind or needed to do something different. So kind of readjusting a little bit today. So bear with us until we get back on track here this afternoon. So, but we'll be good to go after we.
So let's talk a little bit about today's schedule.
Yes.
We know something about
We're right. The way that we're pushing it around, and my sound engineer didn't show up, so you're going to be running back and forth between cameras and movies. So bear with us. We'll get there. We're not pros. We're not paying for it. We're good.
Yeah.
So what we've got going this morning is we'll go here till 11 o'clock with our BS session, and then at 11 o'clock
we're going to review upcoming models.
They're going to review upcoming models. Then that's going to transition into the future of CAV.
Future of CAV, future state.
And then Hugh is going to be doing first modding, right?
Yeah. Found a few parts.
Okay.
We're going to slap them together.
Then that will go into Todd starting with some airbrushing and showing you lots of things that you can do with that. We've got that all ready to go. And then that will go into, speaking of, since he's in the room, I believe, Party Bear Miniatures.
Yay, Party Bear!
Yeah, so he's got a couple hours. He's going to paint 2 different minis that he's got, one on each hour. I sent them to him, and I sent him 4 minis with 4 different paint schemes. See how it turns out. President Party. Make sure I'll get a hold of you a little bit later today so we can qualify as far as switching it. And then after Party Bear is done, Chris Wells, Thunderhead Studios, is going to finish the night out. He is supposed to start, I believe, at 4 o'clock? 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock?
Check the schedule. It's right over here.
But Chris plans on, he doesn't know how long he's going to stream tonight. So he will stream to the official 8 o'clock time, which is our end of day. but he'll probably go over that. But so see it as it goes. But he's got several things that he wants to show and work on. You won't have to go anywhere. Just continue with this stream. Something happens that we knocked off or something, right back on. But everybody else will be pushing through our stream, so you'll no reason to go anywhere.
So we've got Party Bear starting at 4 p.m. So
Okay.
all times are Central Standard. He's going to go for 2 hours, and then we have Chris picking up at
6 o'clock
and taking us through the rest of the night, long into the night. Chris is awesome. I've watched his stream several times. If you've not been over to his channel before, you're in for a treat. He is talented and insightful. He's just a hoot to watch.
Well, and Bloody Lemming, aka Chris Lewis, so many CAV folks named Chris. You know that more than anything. How do I bitch about that? At least twice a week. Out of the 3 new people that I have working, no, out of 4 new people that are working on sculpting and art, 3 of them are Chris.
Well.
One of them at least goes by Christopher. So
I wonder what the statistics are for the number of hobbyists.
It's got to be low because
I know a lot of them too. Yeah.
Our data set says about 30%.
Yeah, there is
And a bunch of Jameses. Yeah, true.
Yeah. Well, sorry about that.
Not John was the top Christian name for many years. Been knocked off.
Correct.
I think the most popular name in the world is On or Chinese. Name.
Probably,
Makes
yeah.
perfect sense statistically.
Yes.
So without being specific, let's talk a little bit about some of the stuff we're going to have in Saturday and Sunday. Schedule's not 100% set, but we know the topics, right?
Right.
So we're going to have sculpting from somebody named Chris. One of the random Chris's is going to do some digital sculpting. Right.
I think I know which Chris that is.
Yeah, me too. We've got James Wapple streaming for like 73 hours on Saturday.
Yes.
Okay. And we got some other stuff to talk to. We've got CAV-RP conversation. And that's going to be real interesting. This is a very wide open conversation. John is an opinionated individual.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Not even a little.
Where's that coming from?
I have no idea.
I'm an overflowing cup of human kindness.
Well, and opinionated. Anyway, so there'll be an hour or two of
us. Is that like just being decaffeinated?
As a human, that's interesting. My brain is suddenly going sideways. What a concept. So yeah, tune in the rest of the weekend to hear us sort of joust about what we think a CAV RPG ought to look like.
And part of that too is we want feedback from you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just to kind of have an idea of what we're doing. I will say this, we are not designing a new system.
No.
We will take an existing open source system and convert it into CAV. But
like D20 or something.
Well, actually, the one that we're kind of looking at just had they used it for the Aliens RPG game.
Oh, okay.
And they just did a new updated Traveler 2000 that they used it. So it's very sci-fi, future orientated. But it's open source, and I think there's another game. And so we're kind of looking at that. We're looking at a couple of different.
Yeah, with all the different factions that have RPG, natural progression.
So, but we'll have at least a good hour to talk about that. I'm going to sneak in and learn to play 1 or 2 over the weekend. I'd like to think I'm going to do some basing at some point. It may be me, it may be me, Todd, who knows? We want to talk about some basing because we've got plenty of stuff around here to how to base things.
Oh, and we have to do our CAV-CON forces that we all worked on.
They're going to be showing those off. Especially if you got the swag bag, there's 5 textured bases coming in there, so there's some ideas there that you can do.
A couple of those bases that I am lobbying John to make a whole series of street-based bases. With the one
a ghost.
How do you get the swag bag? If you go to Talon.games, www.talon.games, the swag bag is on our store there. Go to the bottom. I think there's a link that shows for new items. There's two ways to get it. You can purchase it outright. It's $29.99 for everything that's in there. Or if you purchase $100 of things, items, not including the swag bag, but if get the swag bag for free. No.
And so here's my take on that. And
I think I know where you're going.
You know exactly where
I know where you're going.
All right. The very first thing that's going on my cart is a Badger.
Absolutely.
I'm 80% of the way there already. Now I just go Kodiak, Mamba, blah, blah, blah stuff, stick, whatever. At that point in time, back up. Two Badgers, touchdown. I win.
I've already had requests from friends to make sure that they get one or two secured for them by me. So yeah.
Wait, go out and buy stock in MDF. I'm telling you, that's good investment advice right now.
Well, you might be a little bit late to the party since I have a whole room full of.
Damn it, John's ahead of us again.
But yes, there's a little selfless promotion there. Like I said, you can go to the store, which is www.talon.games. Swag bag, the new Con minis, the Kodiak, the Mamba vehicles there, the Badger drop ship is up and available. There are two new paint colors, Terran Khaki and Rock Red. Those were two titles from Reaper colors that they had in their Master Center paints. These are reformulated, so they are a different bit of a color, and they are the HD bones, heavier.
Those are good paints, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ilmarin already ordered. Well, Ilmarin, you better not order mine. Hands off.
I know that I am going to already, by looking at the list from yesterday, I'm going to be getting lots of Badgers next week.
Yes, that's what we want to hear.
I mean, it's a good thing to have, but it's like I said, we talked about it a little bit last night because really this was the first time. James saw it the other night. Todd, he was the first time, and I'm really happy with them. But they're going to be talking and showing that off there later.
Coming up next is you're going to get a up close and personal love fest with the Badger. We're going to be like, oh my God, look at this thing.
And Chandler asked for more paint. There is going to be more paint coming. I actually gave Reaper 12 colors. That'll be the Terran and the Rock sets that go along with our other 4 factions. After that, we'll do another 6 for the Emithril, and that will probably complete the line. That's 42 colors, so not bad.
That's
for
plenty.
Sweet.
Yeah,
very sweet.
And we're not messing with whites and blacks and the traditional colors. Those Reaper has all those in the Bones line already, so it's just as easy. And selfless plug number 2, we sell, besides all the CAV paints, we also sell all the Bones line. So I think there's 109 colors in that line. They retail, I think, for $3.69 a bottle. It might even went up a little bit. But we retail them for $2.99 a bottle, and for every 5 bottles you buy, you get the bottle free. So it works out to 70 bottles.
can't beat it.
Yeah, so load up on paint.
It's good paint. All right, so to circle back to the topic of this subset of notes, the things that we're going to see this weekend, there's going to be some gaming as well, right? So we're going to have you and Todd are going to square off right here with some of John's terrain that you've been seeing in
the desert
Tuesday.
board.
The desert
board is coming
in its glory, and we're going to get 2 serious competitors, people that actually know what they're doing. Unlike when I play. These guys know how to play the game. It's going to be fun. John and I are going to commentate, so we're going to get a chance to see some bloody action. Don't look at me like that, Hugh. I played it before. You know how to play it. Stop it.
We're going to be observing from the booth, and love the witty banner.
With any luck, we'll get a couple of games in.
I got two words for you. Red Baron.
That's me. Sorry. All right. And we're going to get...
no aircraft allowed this time.
That's not true. Aircraft are allowed.
Wait a minute.
Not
There's a whole room of aircraft down there.
All right. We're also going to get a chance to do some beta testing. You guys are going to help me. We're kind of tinkering with just a for fun sort of beer and pretzels CAV game called CAV-Ball. Some of you check it out on Discord or Facebook may have seen us working on the board last night. John had us set up an MDF board that looks fantastic.
Very cool.
So we're going to demo that, demo/beta test. You guys are going to be part of it, right? So we don't have, it's not a complete game or anything like that at all. It's really just an idea that we've been cooking up, and we're going to play it for you. You're going to get to participate. When the activation deck comes up with a joker, the audience gets to decide what happens on the table. So I look forward to that. That'll be Saturday or Sunday. We haven't picked a day yet. But I think that's the gist of it.
Pretty much. Couple of questions, just so I go over that. Excuse me. If the order is over $100, I don't have to do anything else for the swag, right? If your order is $100 or more, it does not include a swag bag that you purchased, we will automatically put the swag bag into your order. It won't show up on your order because trying to program all that in for just. So if you buy $100 worth of items without the swag bag, go over that $100, you will get the swag bag for free. Order. Shipping is free over $50. So good there.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Sweet deal.
Next question or comment. John and James giving ESPN style commentary on the CAV game.
Absolutely.
Tony Romo has nothing on me.
Listen to this. And here's why.
He's going to quit. He's going to turn in his resignation after I'm done with my commentary. Tony's done.
Because John will just change the rules. He's like, no, it doesn't work that way. I'm right. This is the way it works. I'll put it in the rules tomorrow.
New errata getting uploaded.
That's right. As we speak. John is a walking errata.
I am not the guy you want to play because we'll have a whole new game by the time we're done. So, will someone yell goal? Of course.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Yes, we've been practicing.
I've got a bottle of water for nothing more, so I can kind of as I keep it going.
And we're going to see a bunch of goals. This is not soccer, which is a beautiful game, but oftentimes the scoring is a little slow. There are 5 CAV balls in play constantly. There are constantly 5 ways to score, on top of the fact that you could score by destroying the enemy at the same time. I think you're going to like it. I certainly hope so.
I think we need to have a special event that if it happens that Todd the body rips off the shirt,
bolts out,
runs across the.
There we go.
You don't want to see that. You don't want to see that.
I definitely. You don't want me to do it. So.
None of us. Let's just save that.
Like, oh, here comes Jelly Belly.
Wait. No. The only way that's happening is if we've been to the margarita place. All right, we got to do a couple of drive-throughs.
Hey, there you go.
Then anything is
which, by the way, we noticed last night they're now serving Bloody Marys.
That's right.
So now we've got screwdrivers, margaritas, and Bloody Marys.
And on the back side of that sign, as I was coming in today, I noticed they also have Red Bull and vodka, whatever that's called.
Oh my gosh!
Never in my life would I have thought of a drive-through hard liquor location.
It's a hamburger place.
It's a hamburger stand.
They serve food, I guess.
Well,
yeah, because you're really going there for hamburgers. Yeah.
Only in El Dorado.
Well, it's actually, I think because they do it over in Wichita and stuff, what ended up happening is because of COVID, the liquor stores got the government to allow you to do drive-through, right? So so that they could continue to.
I thought drive-through liquor was already a thing.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, you had to go in and in the deal. So they set it up for that. And however the legislature wrote the exception, it allowed Bengals serve their stuff through drive. Used to you had to go in order to stay in the store. But now, and they haven't rescinded it yet. So take advantage on the way.
Yeah, there you go.
Absolutely.
Like fun to me.
I know that when the wife gets started, pretty scary.
Saw a comment earlier says deploy the hinds. We will be reviewing the hind up close. Absolutely.
And here's the exciting part of that. So the section we're going to do that is in upcoming models, which means the hind is in the near future, like very near, super near.
I know that people have heard me talk about, we have finally received everything that we're supposed to get for the dual cast system, more material and molds and everything like that. They all showed up on Monday out of the blue after all this time while we're in the middle of getting ready for the show. So it's all sitting down on a pallet, and after this weekend, we're going to break it all out and get going. And I would say that May and June are going to be good months for
Maybe your pennies.
Outstanding. Yes.
All right. So looking at the schedule, closing. Oh yeah, the painting, whatever you want to call it, competition.
competition.
Talk about that.
Okay. Official, the last thing you can enter is at 6 o'clock Sunday Central Time. That we will judge that next week, right? So that we will not actually judge that during the weekend because by the last look of things, everybody's waiting until Sunday at 6 o'clock. Based on the comments that I've got off of Facebook and Discord and everything like that, I know that there's lots of people working on entries. As of the last time I checked, I've only got 2 or 3 people that's actually sent their stuff in. So again, I'm warning you, especially if you send great big files, everybody hits the server at 6 o'clock Sunday, people are going to get some kickbacks. So
I see Freefall Geek asking a question about the resin models and dual cast. Let me say, you're going to be happy. Tune into the next segment. I'm going to talk about something I think will make you very smiley.
But if you are a collector and you want the resin ones, there's only 2 or 3 of them left.
Ooh.
So
Cthulhu's brother has ordered a drop ship. This is going to be, Tulsa's going to be lit. There's going to be so many drop ships in Tulsa. We have our own navy.
The fleet of rock drop ships incoming.
Right.
Off-topic question. I placed an order last night, and looking at the receipt, I now realize I ordered 4 packs of Mambas, which...
Oh, you intended to get 4 Mambas, not realizing they were 2 to a pack.
All you need to do, Kruger, is just email sales at sales@talon-games.com or customer service, which is CUSTSERV at talon-games.com, and Ellen will adjust your order and take care of it. But nothing that's being ordered over the weekend and into last week is going to be shipped until.
Or you could just have 8 Mambas.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing at all.
They're really cool looking, so.
Yeah, that poor MDF machine down there has no idea the world of hurt it's in.
And we talked about this a little bit, I think, on Wednesday night in the States a little bit. I think you can find them on YouTube and stuff like that. Go watch a couple of Rat Patrols, okay? And then you're going to want all the Mambas you can.
All the Mambas.
They are fantastic. They look amazing.
Because here is my idea, James.
Yeah.
Mambas versus lions.
Yeah, hell. Just tell me what day to come up.
I'm telling you.
Just pick a day.
Everybody wants to do World War II. We got it covered.
We got it in space.
Yeah, lions and Mambas, our own Rat Patrol.
So Colonel Kane wants to know where you can find the link to send in his. Where do we find it?
It's
on Facebook.
CAV-CON.com/paint expo. PAINTXPO. You go there, it's got the links and the directions and everything there. I believe the actual email to is just CAV-CON with no hyphen, just CAV-CON at talon-games.com. So you can attach your to that and send them in. So the bet, yeah, and we'll, as we go through the day and all of us aren't here, we can jump in and throw in some other things. But if you can, try to optimize your pictures. All right. I don't need 4 megabyte pictures. So be careful if you're taking them with your phone or whatever. Adjust your settings, edit them down. Ideally, if you can keep them like around 1,000 pixels or so square in that deal. And at JPEGs, 72, 96 Ti for that. If you don't, we'll work it out. But if you do send stuff in and it bounces, wait. And I'm checking every hour or so, every couple hours, clean out what's in there, and then
Right. So Chandler is trying to say something in the chat, and the bot is stamping on him. And there's nobody sitting at the actual admin console to see what he's trying to say. So Chandler, you might want to rephrase that.
It's 3 letters, so I'm afraid I'm not sure what it is, but
he's excited. I'm telling you,
yes.
Whatever it is.
But you can always, if you know the Army military phonetic, you can go that way. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Yeah, seriously.
FML.
So John, remind us all what we have the opportunity to gain by sending in these photos. What's the option?
Well, there's 3 categories that we're going to be judging. There's single figure, single squad or unit, and diorama. We are going to there's a special prize that we're going to have for everybody that enters. That's going to be a secret. We'll talk about that later. And then we're also giving, there was a first, second, and third for each category. I think it's like $100 gift certificate.
Flute.
Nice.
That's a badger and some change.
For each category.
Oh my God.
I love how it always comes back to the badger.
That is the basic CAV denomination. You make change in badgers. That's all there is.
What's this worth? One badger.
So here's how that work out. If you guys don't send all your stuff in, there's going to be like 2 guys that are going to clean everybody's clock. So just think of that.
That's right. So, I mean, and it doesn't have to be something you've just painted, right? So if you painted something last year and you're proud of it, or even if you're not proud of it, submit it. Because the last thing you want to do is have John say, we had 3 prizes in diorama and we only got 1 submission, so I kept the other 2. No.
And I'll do that.
Send your pictures in. We want to see them.
Yeah, because I mean, and that's really what this is about. It doesn't have to be something new. It could be, as long as it's a CAV something, and you painted it in the past, whether it was years ago or whatever. Send them in, and don't worry about skill levels or whatever. We have the ability to look at something without, we don't need a James Walpole to not be able to look at it and understand what your skills are.
Yeah.
So you may not have them as fine tuned as somebody, but we can tell the difference between somebody that paints with a paintbrush and.
We're looking for passion. That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be a professional to have passion.
Right.
You can win this thing and not be the best looking model out there. Send in your stuff. We want to see it all.
Unless you actually do paint with a. Probably go ahead and keep it.
I've done some pretty decent camo schemes with the Q-tip.
Don't mess with Todd. Todd is a good painter. He could probably paint with his ear if he wanted to.
I don't know, go that far.
Blindfold him and give him a brush. I bet you could do something good.
I had a friend years ago when I played Battletech. He bought minis all the time. He would put them on bases. He had 4 quart cans of interior latex paint. And he'd get a new mini, put on a glove, dunk it in that thing, and shake it off, and then let it dry. And so he had this army of all these minis.
Can tell what they were?
Sorta.
I mean, you could tell what they were because of the shape, but there was no detail.
Oh my! All right.
Oh.
They were painted though.
I cannot argue with that point, you.
That makes me cringe a little bit. Not gonna lie.
Just a little.
It's more than some people put on their model.
Yeah.
In the squad shot, do you want pics of the component models as well? That is totally up to you how you want to do it. Whatever you can send us that shows it best. Send them individually. We'll stick them together. I mean, I'll know it's a squad. Doesn't necessarily have to be a picture of the squad. That would be cool to have, but if you send them 4 separate pictures and those all meet the requirements of the squad or whatever, then I know that I think one of the entries, actually, they sent a squad picture, and then one of the squads, it was for a single figure. And then they made a diorama base for all 4 of them to sit on. So
that's efficiency.
Yes, so they like 4 or 5 minis covered all 3 categories.
Well, that's
there you go.
Now we need an ingenuity category.
Yes.
All right. So tell us about this well-forged time slot we've got there on Sunday, John.
Well, it's kind of funny because I saw him post. I know he's in the room. How I actually found out about him was he did a class, leave a class during, or at least a question and answer session at Reaper, their virtual. And I was looking on their page, I don't know, a couple of months ago, and saw that on there, and there was something in his description that said that he lived in Kansas.
Yeah.
So I emailed him, and lo and behold, like 30 miles away from me.
Oh, nice.
So we've been talking a little bit, and he graciously volunteered to come over Sunday, or he's going to actually catch. But and do an hour worth of class. This guy is top notch. This is, if you he's got an Instagram account. If you're in here, Mike, put up some links that they can go look at some of your stuff. It's top notch. So, but he is going to be doing a battle damage class.
Oh,
so,
I'm in.
Cool.
Yes,
Yeah.
on Sunday.
Sweet. All right. Now here's the thing. It's not on the schedule, but this is actually, to me, probably the most important part of CAV-CON. That's the people on the other side of this camera. All right. We need you to participate in CAV-CON. We want your questions. If you guys dream up something brand new, hey, let's talk about the kinds of potato soup that The Rock make, and you think that's important, all right? We'll just cover it right out of the blue because we're here for you. We want you to participate. When we switch over and Chris comes on and Party Bear and this new fellow Wellforged and all these guys, go over to their channels and let them know that, hey, you appreciate them painting cows. We want to talk about cows to support them. Because ultimately, this show is your show. We want you to participate. You are on the schedule. We expect you to contribute. Come on, let's go.
I also want to bring up, just because I mentioned it.
Okay.
I mentioned it during CAV-HQ Live about James Wapple on Saturday. I had talked about we were going to kind of split the session up or whatever. I've changed that. So when he goes on, he will go the whole time. From 3 o'clock tomorrow until he's planning on going till like midnight. And here's the reason I did that is he sent me the other day a list of his topics he's going to work on, and he's going to be an absolute pro. He is going to show painting with oils. He's going to show how to do cockpit jeweling. He's going to do battle damage. He's going to do basing. He's just got crap loads of stuff plugged into that period. And I didn't want to jump out for 2 hours. People miss things. Deal. So that'll be a slight adjustment once we switch over to him on his stream and ours Saturday. James will finish out the night.
I know if you've listened to this stream over the last month or two since John secured Mr. Wapple, you've heard me sing his praises. I just want to do it one more time. I'm a decent painter. Mr. Wapple is so beyond me. It's ridiculous. That guy, he's a consummate pro. You can learn so much from him. It's ridiculous. Not only in terms of quality and technique, speed. He's one of the fastest painter I've ever seen in my life. And I know we have some fast painters in chat. Party Bear, I know you're fast too. No comparison here. Mr. Wop, and I mean that, I'm not saying to say, I'm not trying to compare the two of you. Mr. Wapple is the fastest painter I've ever seen in my life. So you guys need to tune in and check him out. At least for a bit. Give him a try. He is incredible.
Well,
He
and one of the
stuff out quick. Yeah.
right, and one of the big reasons that he's so fast too, like paints with like 4 colors, 5 colors.
Yeah,
he mixes everything as he goes,
Absolutely.
so it's always on his palette, and needs orange. He's got a little red. He's got his primaries there, and he goes there and adds to it. It's really and to build on that is he's been doing a lot of oil painting, and our James has watched him a little bit, and he applied that to his cockpits that he did on his CAV-CON for us. I'm here to tell you, I already told James this. They are the style that I like, the best cockpits on a Mini.
Thank you very much. And I learned it all from Wapple. I mean, just watch Wapple because he's the guy that will show you how to do it. Oil paints are just great for cockpits in general, and he will teach you all the little nuances about which paint mixes well with which other. You can pick this up today or tomorrow, rather, when he streams. By the end of his stream, you'll know how to do it if you just pay attention.
And I'm not trying to ditz on anybody else's cockpits. Todd does great cockpits. Ross does awesome. But they're a style that they have that I enjoy it and I like it, but it's not how I always envision cockpits. That black to white transition, bit of a hint of color in the middle for what the sky is up over there. It just blew me away. I loved it.
Sweet. All right, that's it. See you Monday.
I mean, record that. Can you put that on a certificate? All right.
Little rocks. We're developing rock culture, whether John wants to go with us or not.
There's a lot of rock comments here, so
Yes, there have been.
I'm actually right now writing a book of jokes.
Oh,
I like it.
So, and I wanted to go back and we'll pull up some stuff to show you too, because I had a couple of people kind of wondering what some of the stuff in the swag bag, what it meant. What I was trying to do with the swag bag is kind of bring in some of the history and culture and stuff from the game. Some of the stuff has been hinted about in the book, stuff like that. So that's really what I tried to do with that. So as official sponsors of CAV-CON, we have General Drake, which is a mercenary leader and force that's in the game universe. He's a renowned he's a Terran officer, does this thing like that. So we've kind of had to play with some of the things that he does. That he produces his own line of beer after combat. Refreshing drink is big for him. So you'll see some of the stuff from the General Drake line of beer, posters and the cup and logos and stuff in there. Also in kind of the mercenary themes, there are bonding organizations that are behind their contracts and whatnot. One of the biggest ones is the Mercenary Bonding Authority, the PA. So you'll see there's some stuff in there. They are a subgroup of Third Corps, Templar company. So there's some stuff in there. So that's where all that kind of comes. Kind of stuff.
Yep, that's
from the game universe rather than just be plain Jane.
And by the way, Drake beer is really also known as personal coolant.
Yes.
So you're just topping off your coolant reserves.
Turbo flush.
Turbo flush. That too.
So what does Dana Murphy drink? I think, even for her tough persona, she's kind of a girly drink. I think strawberry daiquiris. That's where I think Dana's a daiquiri girl.
So let it be written.
Yeah, so let it be written. She's got to get her a little bit of daintiness somewhere. So, because she has a habit of when people are talking to her, not how she likes to, she wants to get their attention going low.
All right. It didn't take long to get there.
Just an hour.
Yeah, actually, I do think strawberry daiquiris are on the menu. We'll see. We'll see if Dana's over there.
Let's go find out.
There you
Yeah,
go.
seriously.
Look at that. There's Dana there. How do you know? Abs painted up. I parked outside.
Right. You stepped on the
Well, I don't know. With the last name Murphy, I would think she'd probably be kind of a.
Oh, maybe, but like I said, she's such a tough girl already. I don't, you know, I mean, I don't want to go into big details, but I'm sure there's some early things on the underneath. Not very daiquiris.
I don't think anyone's gonna tell her different.
No, not at all.
Not in walk away anyway.
Not at all. Tough old broad. So what else? And make sure, guys, if there's something you want us to try to cover during the weekend, the sooner you let us know. You know, we can see we can work it in. We can put stuff together. So each evening we're going to be getting things ready for the next day, and please let us know if there's what else. Got 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah, here in a few minutes, we'll switch screens over temporarily as we're changing everything up, and then don't run off. We'll still be streaming, but you won't. What else, Hugh? You've been awfully quiet, man.
Y'all covered it. Yeah. What else?
Got Hugh the beard, Todd the body, James the head, and Jelly Belly.
And I got 2 names?
John, quit moving your audio. I'm sorry. I know I keep dropping my. I apologize. Talk to the mic. The mic is your friend.
Talk to the mic.
Just yell one of these.
No. I'm too close for him.
Let's go.
Hey!
Go right ahead. Bring it.
All right, come on, guys. Questions.
Yeah, sometimes you forget about that you're trying to talk to the mic and you go into your own habits and bad about. Anyway, Bueller, and then Sunday we've got Party Bear's going to be painting 2 more minis. We've got Well Forged. We're going to be doing gaming. There's more stuff on there.
Questions about infantry?
I need to buy some infantry to flesh out my starter faction. Anything coming down the pike? Yes. I actually have a new sculptor that is working on a generic light, heavy, and powered armor. So I have all 3 groups that are being optimized for the dual cap. So those are further down the line because he's just getting started on them. Still working on concepts and everything like that. I think there'll be a lot more choices than as far as how they're set up than from what we've got. But other than that, we still have the metal, the light, the heavy infantry, power armor, which the heavy infantry is a newer one. I think we just released that. Yeah.
So is there a reason that you're going away from?
Well, yes and no, because whereas the PVC plastic didn't lend itself as well to the smaller stuff, the dual cast does.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you some samples later. Better idea.
Okay.
But it'll work. But we do need to optimize them a little bit just to make sure that they're set up for that particular. It's mainly to keep the cost down. Metal right now is going through the roof again. It's never been. I offset that obviously by remelting some things, and that's kept the price down so far. But we're not going to always have that. So, and it'll just be easier for us to cast. I mean, dual cast I can probably do in an hour what it takes me a day to do.
You like the sound of that?
Yeah. Okay. So increased productivity.
More questions in 8mm infantry? What's going on with those?
What about the 28mm? Well, technically it's 32 millimeter. So if he's saying 28, it's actually 32. What that is we're getting ready to do a generic line of sci-fi figures. The CAV figures are going to start that off. We've got plans for pilots, technicians, engineers, all kinds of stuff like that. And it's kind of if we end up doing an RPG, it gives us some stuff to start off there. We decide to do some kind of a skirmish game down the road. So it's just kind of priming the pump for things. But for now, it'll be you can use them for whatever you want to and go from there. So with the influx of 2 new minis a month, are you also thinking new factions? No. There will be no new factions in the foreseeable future. We've got enough with the 7 to flesh out as it is. And there's, now, I will say this, that you will see more independent kind of things come up, which are kind of sub-factions. So.
I mean, while there's 7 main factions in CAV, there are hundreds others out there. These are just the ones that we use right now. They're like they're the ones that others have pledged their allegiance to.
Well, it's not so much that is just, you know, they're systems, planets, or whatever that they're humans, they're A to E's or whatever, but they're not part of the Federation or
just independence. Yeah,
they're independent, so they have their own way. They may have different variants. They may have, you know, some of the Terran ones have a lot more independent models because there's more companies manufacturing that kind of stuff. So,
like the Spacey.
Yes, yeah, they're an independent group, and they actually have a couple of models that are actually produced on their planet, and that's how the independence works. You can build from the lore and from what we release. You can build an independent faction, but you can also the faction that's a sub faction of can use. So all those models can. All right. So we are going to.
Question you asked for.
Not that I would, but if I turned in all my metal, could you trade it for dual cap? Maybe we can talk. That's something to consider down the road. The problem is we're moving away from metal, so I don't really need the metal. So you're better off, you know, if you end up doing that, you know, maybe contact a Reaper or something. If they'll buy it in bulk. Might work out better. So anyway, so we're gonna pause here while we make our switch, and we'll be back in a few minutes. So hold on.
Hello. I am the man that you are jealous of because here's a badger and I'm very close to it. Man, this is exciting times. We're getting ready to talk about stuff that's available right now today for you to purchase from Talon Games. We're going to start with the Badger, then we're going to talk about the new Kodiak. We're going to talk about the Mamba, which though they're much smaller, they are freaking awesome and fire miniatures that I'm looking forward to showing to you. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to take a peek into the future. We're going to talk about things that are coming up in the next month, say between the end of CAV-CON heading into June. We're not sure the exact time yet. You know, John's a busy guy. He's still got a million irons in the fire, but sometime between the end of CAV-CON and June, I've got a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There are 12 miniatures that we're going to talk about. Now, you know about not all of these miniatures, but it's going to be exciting to talk about them in the sense that you're going to get your hands on them really quickly. All right. So my co-hosts Todd and Hugh are going to join me here in a minute, and that's when we'll dive into it. Yeah, Hobby have it. Holy cow, look at it. Are you see my face? See the Badger? Badger's bigger than my face. This thing is incredible. Sweet Gimli. No. So I don't know this for a fact, but I anticipate that the metal infantry and the resin infantry are going to be different molds, right? Is that true? So the metal infantry are still going to be unique. So for me, I want the metal infantry, and when the resin ones comes out, I'm going to buy them too, so I have more variety to build my infantry stands out of. I don't think they're mutually exclusive at all. So just my take, I want all of them. Who would have ever guessed that? All right, whoops. No whoops at all. Yeah, the Badger is freaking awesome and over 18 inches long. That is a beast, right? And there are some features of it that you're not even seeing yet. We're going to cover those. In fact, I'm just going to start. I'm not going to wait for those. They can join me later. I'm excited for the Badger. So what you see here is the Badger dropship. It's an MDF kit that you can buy today from Talon Games. Price is $80, and that's 80% of the way to getting your free swag bag. And at that point, you've already hit the free shipping thing. So this is a freaking sweet deal. All right, it's a giant drop ship. We'll just reach out for something nearby. This is a very large Almirithil cab. That's the Kodiak, which we're going to talk about here in just a minute. I wanted to give you a sense of scale. All right, so this thing can clearly carry a squad, possibly 2 squads of calves inside it. So in my mind, in the fluff, when you put calves in this thing, they kind of curl up, right? So they take up a little bit less room when they're in storage mode. This thing is clearly big enough to carry a lance, maybe 2 lances, depending on how you configure it. It's just freaking awesome. It's got these. This is essentially the door where the calves will come out of. Some more models out here. A tank too. Here's a tank you might be familiar with, the Despot B. Look at the size of this thing. You could probably take 40 tanks into this thing. Yeah, this is the one that's been upscaled a little bit. So yeah, this is an absolute beast of a vehicle. All right, comes with these missile pods. Lots of opportunity for you to kit bash this thing, to modify it, to turn it into a giant diorama terrain piece, whatever makes you happy. Yeah, Lost Sim 99. I want one too. All right, so here's the other thing we have to talk about. Like I said, this is still this is not quite the final product. John has a few changes in mind, and here's why. All right, those of you who've been around for just a little while, you'll remember Kickstarter 3, right? Kickstarter 3 had that wonderful set of terrain that we got, right? All the turrets and the towers and the minefields and all the shipping containers, all that stuff. Let's go back and talk about the turrets, all right? Because in that kit are some weapon turrets. This isn't all of them. This is just the handful that I was able to grab before the show came on, right? And so what John still has to do is he's going to modify the top of this Badger so that they will accept the turrets if you want, optional. you can put your turrets from your terrain kits that you either got as part of the Kickstarter or you can order from Talon Games into the top to customize the loadout. Clearly, you could magnetize those if you want, so you could kit bash other weapons on there. That's the thing that makes this, oh my God, I'm so excited. Because I'm going to do things to this model that are just crazy. I'm going to have so many magnetized options, it's going to make your head spin. But if you don't want that, if you want the stock variant, here, let's pop this up so people can see it here. Be careful with this turret bit. I don't know if you can make it out, but right here on top is this thing I'm characterizing as an airlock. All right. I anticipate that what's going to happen is that these optional weapon mounts are going to have a similar look. And so if you're not into putting turrets on there, or you want to have the option of making it look like it's pulled the turrets back in, I'm sure you can find a way to customize that so that your turrets will come off and go on, and you can make it yours in just the way you want. I have not.
There's detail every angle of this thing.
Flip. You want to help me out here? Pull that off. This thing's not fully assembled yet, so I don't want to take a chance on hurting it when I flip it over. All right, so take a look at the bottom of this baby. All right. John didn't skimp, right? This is not like me where I don't paint the bottom of tanks. Don't look at the bottom of my tanks. You'll be disappointed. This thing's got good looking landing gear. It's got exhaust ports. It's got detail. It's got accessories that you can add to the bottom of it. Show the back here. Engine nacelles. This thing's incredible, all right? So this is technically a rock design, correct, John? All right, but what is the right word? Is it open? All right, so
generic.
So this is a generic model that you'll find throughout space, so you can deploy this with any force you want to deploy it. Now, mind you, this is not actually a game piece, right? So there are not currently any rules for this thing to be involved with the game. Feel free to make up your own. Me, I plan to hold mine like this and go pew, 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 pew at people across the table.
You could absolutely make it a
terrain piece.
Yeah. Where the turrets function. Hear me? Where the turrets function. Its central objective: knock out its turrets, capture the dropship. But more than anything, just going to look fantastic on the table and definitely draw.
Yeah. I mean, when we finally all get to go to our FLGSs, for those of us who can't, bringing this thing in, we're going to talk about painting this thing in just a second. Bringing in this thing, paint it and kit it out, and just setting it as the center of the table. You're going to spend an hour just talking to the people that stop by and say, "What the heck is that? How do I get one?" Oh my gosh, I'm so looking forward to this. Speaking of scenarios, right? I can see a scenario where it's like an escape thing, right? You have to get to the badger. Like Schwarzenegger did, right? Get to the badger. And of course, your job is to get you. I'm sorry. If you guys have ever seen a stream that I've been on, you know I am a 5-year-old with toys and paint. All right, so sorry, you get what you get. But yeah, absolutely. This thing is going to be, it's going to be a lot of fun to paint. All right. So painting calves is fun. I love painting calves. They're small compared. This is going to be nice to flex your painting muscles on something that has all the surface area you could ever want. I mean, you could paint camo in this thing. You could put stripes on it. You could paint each part independently.
You could do murals.
Yeah, literally.
If you felt so inclined and like make it a real center.
So, for those of us who are in the States, I'm sure somewhere near you, you've got a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby or a Dick Blick's or some kind of an art store. Go into that store with an open mind and walk down the stencil aisle, right? So there are all kinds of just plain stencils that people use to, decorate their mailbox or their flower pots, fleur-de-lis, unicorn heads, just all kinds of things, right? They're usually too big to use in hobby modeling. That's not true anymore. All right. So there are spaces on here big enough you could go get some of those stencils and paint over them, airbrush over them, rattle can over them. There is so much you can do to this model.
There's also a lot of companies out there that make vehicle scale specific airbrush anarchy. And they have everything from tiger stripes to camo schemes to hex patterns. Yeah, Vallejo is doing them now. So the options for how you want to do this thing up are.
Yeah, literally. There's a ton of stuff. So yeah, absolutely. And like I said, even if you don't have those places to go to, Hobby Lobby is full of this, sort of like artsy, glitzy, scrapbooky kind of stuff. You could go and make and just make all kinds of stuff. Not only that, it also comes, I believe John is coming with these little white accessories on the external. You're going to get these, right? So these decorations, these are rock specific, I'm pretty sure. I'm not quite sure what the symbols are,
rock,
but these are rock specific. So if you want to paint yours up as a rock original, absolutely, go for it. All right.
Now, are there going to be options for the sigils, the other factions?
No? Not currently. Maybe
Okay.
we could sweet talk John into it. I bet we could find a way to make that happen. And if not, you can just make it happen yourself, right? There's an art. I mean, you got stickers, right? Those giant. I mean, you could make those stickers work. There's a way.
I tell you what, in a pinch, in the past, working BattleTech, larger scale BattleTechs, I even took painter's tape and hobby knife, cut the line out, and then spray painted over that.
Yeah.
There you go.
You basically got to yell, buddy.
Yeah.
You just got to bring it. All right. So he's just he's a nice guy. That's the problem. You got to be a jerk. You got to be a 5-year-old. All right. Yay, mommy! I want coconut donuts. So stupid. All right. So you'll notice here on these missile pods, hopefully you can see them. There are, like the tips of the missiles, and then back here on the back, you'll see there are some nacelles for the, I guess, the exit ports, exhaust ports for the missiles. Now, when you buy your Badger, you're not going to get those. John's not going to print those out, but he will give you the STL to get them made for free. I know many of you are either 3D printers, or somebody who's 3D printing, or if not, there are some services. Or let's be frank here, all right? If you're buying this kit, you know how to hobby. All right, this is not a big step for you. You could probably make something better than this on your own, right? If you're putting this thing together, you're a veteran, probably. And if you're not,
you're on your way to being one.
That's right. By the time you're done, you're going to earn your stripes. Absolutely. So just to make sure that everybody understands, you're getting everything here that's cut, but you're not going to get the tips and the nacelles. However, you'll get the ability to make them for yourself. And there's a million ways to do that. So I'm sure that's no hump for a veteran like people out there in our. Oh, Valkyrie's here. Did you see that? Hats off to Valkyrie. Hello. Checking on you. Yeah. All right. So you're welcome to sit down if you want. What kind of color you think? What's on your brain?
Well, looking at the rock sigils, bright hot rod red would look great screaming down through an atmosphere.
Absolutely.
Myself, I think I'd probably do something a little more generic so I could use it whatever scenario I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. Maybe like equipment gray, and then just weather the heck out of it.
Okay.
Give
it sort of a used, like, this is a veteran of 1,000 drops.
Chipped paint.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like this sound.
I personally...
We gotta be careful. We're gonna take it down. No singing. All right, Hugh. What about you? You can stay off camera all you want, but I'm gonna ask you how you're painting yours. All right, get over here.
Well, you're gonna make me. All right, how I'm gonna paint mine.
Be loud, Hugh. Come on.
Right, how I'm gonna paint mine. Let's see. To be honest, I don't really have an idea just yet because I don't rock only or area like that. Thinking about painting something, just thinking about painting something this big. I'm like, I'm glad I've got a couple of airbrushes. Airbrushing is definitely going to be a thing. Airbrushing and inks.
Pick a color. Give us one color that we're going to see on your Badger. You don't have to say how it's going on. One color. Say black and white. I'm going to back in the head.
I'd say black.
Yeah, I know, because that's the kind of guy you are. No, seriously, is it going to be a lot of black on your model?
Not a lot of black.
Okay, just some detail?
Detail.
All right. So you mentioned airbrush, right? I know not everybody has an airbrush, right? It's a common hobby tool, but not everybody has it. That being said, This thing is made for rattle cans, right? You can 100% prime this thing. You could even paint it all the way. I mean, you could easily do some simple camouflages with just straight up rattle cans, right? MDF is perfect for using just plain Krylon.
You know, and speaking of, Krylon makes all the generic camo colors, greens, browns, like that. And something I actually saw James do on the broadsword and wrap to mask off.
Oh, really?
Camo stripe.
Through big, quick, simple saran wrap.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea because saran wrap, it's clingy. You're going to be able to cinch it up real tight. It's not going to hurt anything.
Then you can just rattle can right over it and pull it off.
Yeah, and you've got a stripe or a shape or a lozenge or whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And it would look really all that. Then you can go back and black line some, give it some maybe highlight and weather. Yeah, I mean, it'd definitely be a project. I wouldn't count on getting this done in an afternoon. When it's done, it's
going to look awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, these nacelles are on the back are big enough that you can easily do some of that glowy stuff. I mean, just with a paintbrush, right? Just blue, red, pink, up to white, whatever color makes you happy. All right, so I've made everybody else talk about their potential paint scheme. I've never actually painted rock models. So I bought a rock forest back before all this CAV-CON stuff got started and I got swamped doing other things. So I'm going to paint a rock forest, and I think I'm just going to go whole hog and I'm going to make this their drop ship. So it's going to be, here's my rock force, and this is the ship that they come to town in. So I'm thinking red with maybe some green camo. I'm not quite sure. There's a model downstairs I'm going to show you later. Kind of like got a sort of a brown with I want to say a green camo and a white outline of a lozenge sort of style. It's really cool. I'm thinking about going something like that. But yeah, see what kind of questions we get. Middle central hull sections gray, silver gunmetal, larger body pieces, flat army green. Hobby habit. That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, and if you guys have created your own mercenary faction, go to town.
Yeah, I don't know when these things exactly are going to deliver. I anticipate in a week or two, John will have them all cut up and send us all out to them. Don't know the exact timeline, but by the end of April, I expect to start seeing pictures of these things cropping up. Maybe not 100% finished. Maybe you will finish yours 100%. But I am excited to see what the community does with this collection of dropships that we're going to finally have our hands. I feel like I've said dropship 60 times in the last 30 minutes.
I think you have.
All right. So now let's...
Somebody happy?
You think? Coconut donuts, mommy. I'm like, coconut donuts. You guys are learning too much about me today. Sorry. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to shift away from the beauty queen, and we're going to start talking about some other stuff that you're going to get in the very near future. Two pieces you're going to get immediately. The Kodiak and the Mamba. Yeah, just going and switch around. So we're going to have Tiger is going to switch over here, Hugh, and help me. We're going to try and throw these models up on another camera. Yeah, we'll just have to wait for John to come back for that, because last thing we want to do is mess that up. So exactly. John has stepped out for a second, so we're going to wait till he comes back to bring up the little camera to show you some close-up shots of the models that we're going to cover. But I just want to, earlier in the show, and I hope you're still here, I can't remember the exact name, but somebody asked a question about whether the resin aircraft were going to get re-released in dual cast. And the answer to your question is yes. In fact, you should probably see them available for sale in dual cast between now and June. Can't be more specific than that, but before the middle of the summer. All right, so that's good news for you. John, can you hook us up with a little micro camera? All right. There's so many people here talking about what they're going to do with this scorch marks. Yeah, scorch marks.
Oh yeah.
Holy crap! Yeah. My damn. You gonna start taking notes? Yeah. Fine. All right, so can we see the Kodiak? All right, so what we've got here on the table right now is the Kodiak. Hopefully you can see that. That's a model that you can buy today. It's an Almirita model. This is a big beefy boy. All right, this thing has got 12 damage tracks. I'm not going to read its entire stat card. I've got it here in front of me. We're just going to cover the highlights. 12 damage tracks. This is a big boy. All right. When you're ready to punch holes in things as an Almirathil, you bring this guy. All right. He's got 3 heavy max, 7 attack value against hard targets. 7. That's punching hard. And don't forget, you can always reach out with salvo and get a +2 and hit with only one of those. So if you need to, you got a long range shot you're not sure you can make, don't forget salvo. Salvo is your friend. Kodiak also comes with 2 heavy rocket 10s at strength 5. All right, minimum range 12. Excuse me. We all know about that. We know how that works. All the usual SAs, including rugged, ammo bin, TC1, and Wizzo. Wizzo is a +1 for free. TC1 is a +1 you have to work for. Like I said, probably most of you know how that works. But this is the leader of your Almirathil force. All right, when you want a centerpiece that can just stand there and go toe to toe with the best thing that the enemy can bring, the Emperor from the Rock, or what's the big Terran boy?
Thunderbird.
Yeah, the Thunderbird. This is their equivalent, right? The Almirathil are finally stepping up to the plate with their giant shiny toy. Yeah, Almirathil. He's dropping 2 of them. Gia. Oh, hi, Gia. Is there a gun in the middle? So it's got a shoulder-mounted gun right next to the cockpit. We primered this one up black because we're gonna use this in the airbrushing class. So hopefully you can see it. But yeah, it's got 2 arm-mounted heavy max, and then the other one is shoulder-mounted. Yes, definitely a gun in the middle. Camera keep. Yeah, we're working with a not our favorite camera. This camera's been kind of bad. We're probably going to get timeout after. Hopefully it's a little bit better. Okay, so that's the Kodiak. Available today. You can order 60 of them. Go ahead, I dare you. It'd be all right with me. Yes, you can. There's no point limits in CAV. You just play a giant battle, right? You probably need 10 Badgers to carry them all, right? By the way, one of the reasons why I'm going to paint this thing up as a specific rock one is because eventually I'm ready to have 5 of them. Don't bother me a bit. All right, there's 5 factions.
Who else is going to be getting it?
James is freaking out the poor cameras. Ooh, Jeff, I like it. Gimli too. Yeah, I'm only going to start out with, and 4 of the Mambas. Yeah. Speaking of Mamba, hopefully you can see that on the screen right now. That's the thing we got pulled up. All right. So let's talk about the Mamba. See, here's the one thing that I don't know. Mamba is, what's the faction for the Templar? Who? John, stop making such good models. All right, so the Mamba is a Templar recon model, 4 damage tracks, speed of 12, which means it's going to qualify for double time, make it hard to see or hard to hit. It's got a light rack, so it's got 2
light racks.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's 2 light racks. My bad. Minimum range of 8, AOE 2 and 4. So it's 2 hard, 4 soft. All right. It's a soft vehicle, double time, improved handling, anti-infantry, assault 2, which means it can just move its butt off, right? So it can move 20, shoot both of its light racks, no modifier.
Yep.
Absolutely. Ammo bin ×1, ECM 1. So this is like a bag of tricks is what this thing is.
Limited in front of.
Yeah, no
because
turret.
it has no turret, right? So that's an important thing to know. So when a model in CAV doesn't have a, that's not true of CAVs, right? That's only true of vehicles and aircraft. Thing about not having a turret means you have to shoot within your body width. Okay, all right. So for airplanes and for vehicles, if you don't have a turret, what you have, I'm not going to move that. What you have to do is you have to point at your target, right? And so you basically have a line of fire that's equal to the width of your model. So if you're in an airplane, it's fairly wide because you get those big fat wings. But this thing is very narrow, so you're going to have to accurately point it at the end of your movement. But still, that's okay, because probably what you're doing is moving and ECMing with this thing until people are already beat up. So it's super fast, got some nice weapons. It's got Assault 2, ECM 1. It looks freaking fantastic. And it's available now. 2 of them for $6.99, I believe. 2 of them for 2 of these tanks for $6.99. A bargain. Sold. No, it's going to be dual cast. Dual cast. Yeah. Oh yeah, I totally forgot to mention that. So the Kodiaks that you're buying and the Mambas you're buying are dual cast models. Don't ask me how. Chicanery magic on John's part, but those are literally dual cast models. So when you get, if you haven't had a chance to experiment with the new material, I think you're going to be super happy. 4 DT. Sorry, I missed that question there. How many pieces does the Mamba come in to put together? Body and 3 axles. So I guess it's the body, and you got to put the wheels on the bottom of it with the tires and all that. Any more questions about the Rat Patrol? Holy, yeah, totally Rat Patrol. I'm sorry, I'm old. I get that one. Finally. So, Mamba, going once. Get that thing out of here. Just cut it off. All right. So now we're gonna go back to that question we had earlier. Back in the last Kickstarter, John had some resin aircraft made, limited edition run. It was the only way we had of getting our hands on them at that time. And if you missed out, he just didn't make very many of them. They sold like hotcakes, and they're super hard to get right now. But the good news for you is that between now and June, what's going to happen is you're going to get a chance to buy these in dual cast, right? They're going to come back into production and stay in production. And so no longer will it be, the air forces of the privileged few who are around for the Kickstarter. You're going to be able to take to the skies and shoot down everything. Well, except maybe the Badger. Probably don't want to try and fight the Badger. So the Vindicator is it's an aircraft transport, right? So it's going to be good for moving your infantry around. There are a lot of evil tactics involving flying aircraft or infantry really fast down the field and dropping them on top of people who don't like doing close combat. Like all those missile boats. They're not very good at it. All right, we'll get to that later. So the Vindicator, 5 damage tracks, 2 light MRACs, soft, double time, improved handling. That's a complicated subject. Transport 2, which means it can carry 2 stands of infantry or 1 bulky infantry, right? Pop up is an evil power. You shouldn't use it. You're a bad person if you do. Countermeasures. Advanced targeting computer. All right. So here's something that I just want to bring up that I'm not sure everybody realizes. Soft is actually kind of a powerful SA, right? Yeah. It sounds like it makes you puny, right? But what it does is it makes you immune to max and other weapons that have what's it called? What's it? Strike? Yeah, look at the Kodiak. Strike, yeah. So if your weapon has the SA strike, what that really means is you cannot damage soft targets. And so the Vindicator and the Mamba are both soft targets. So the Kodiak, all its glorious heavy max, literally cannot hurt soft targets. They can't be fired at them. They just don't work against them. Troop drops, absolutely good, Huntsman. All right. So that's, go ahead. Oh, sorry. I'm excited. I can't help it. I had too many donuts for breakfast. All right. Yes, sir. All right. Stop being excited. I get it. All right. So now we're going to talk about the gas. So this is, again, another one of those aircraft that were only available in resin and are getting ready to be re-released in dual cast. Gas is an attack aircraft. Oh, my God. This thing moves 17. That's a lot. Comes with 2 medium MRACs, strength 6 versus hard, strength 4 or 3 versus soft. Now it comes with a pylon. Pylon, I believe, is a place you can attach other systems. Attach bombs to them, right? So in the back of, all right, my own little, right. So my own little personal confession, whatever you want to call it, right? So mostly, when I think about CAV, I think about like the tournament style rules, because that's mostly the chance we have to play short, quick, crisp games with with a known set of rules. But in the back of the CAV book is this huge collection of other ways to play the game, right? You can add fortifications, you can add external armor, you can do all kinds of crazy things when you get into like a deeper sort of a narrative driven sort of a game. And pylon is the ability to attach bombs to your aircraft for obviously dropping on people who deserve bombs dropped on them. And other systems that John is developing as I understand it. Not at this time rule wise. Any of the land missiles. Boy, that would be cool, Madman. I feel like I'm watching QVC. Thank you, Colonel. This is your fault. You got me in this game. Take it. All right. So there's the gas. Order them now. Actually, you can't order them now, but soon. Hopefully soon. So now we're going to do the longbow. All right. The longbow is another attack aircraft, not quite as fast. Movement of 16. It's got one medium autocannon, and oh boy, autocannons are awesome. All right. Somebody has taught me the way of the autocannon. I've watched him use them to great effect. Autocannons are really cool. They have this ability called full auto, right? Full auto means that after you make your hit roll, you can pick one of those dice and decide, I'm going to roll it again. So I got a 6 and a 1. I'm going to pick a 1 and turn it into something much nastier. That's the thing, all right? It also comes with 2 light-guided missiles, and then it's soft, double time, improved handling, advanced TC1, and tag. Now, at some point in time, we need to have a conversation about improved handling. It's a little more complicated when we're going to dig into now. The rule isn't complicated, just there's some insights that I have about the way improved handling works we need to talk about sometime this weekend when we have more time. We'll get to that. Help me remember. That was the longbow. Now for the Taseki, also known as John's favorite model. At least I think so. Excuse me, man, I should have brought a drink. All right, so the Taseki 2 is an attack aircraft, movement of 14. It's loaded for bear. It has a medium MRAC 6.3. 6. It's an aircraft with a 6. That's evil. 2 light guided missiles and 2 pylons. All right, so this thing can carry 2 bombs. It has 2 light guided missiles and a medium MRAC. Kind of reminds me of this aircraft I saw once in a war in the desert somewhere. But anyway,
you have to make.
Yeah, I made the pew earlier. So it's got soft, double time. It's going to move like the devil. Improved handling, pop up. I'm telling you, you can do so many evil things with pop up. You need to read the rules and master that, and just make your opponent not like you. Reinforced 1, advanced targeting computer 1, and tag. Tag's important here because it lets him fire his guided missiles without having to have a target lock. This is an awesome aircraft, and to be honest with you, it's of the aircraft that are currently available, it's my favorite looking one. I take that back. I just saw somebody over there in the wings that might actually take that crown away from the poor Taseki. All right, so we're ready for the crossbow. Yeah, A10 in space. I'll take 5. There you are, Freefall Geek. You're the one who was asking earlier. So, see, your wishes come true. All right, so this is going to be the crossbow. Boy, these aircraft are just mean. This is another attack aircraft. This one has a movement of 18. Guacamole. It has a medium LBG, laser bolt gun, strength of 4 versus hard and 4 versus soft. Remember, this thing's good at shooting down aircraft. Right? That's important. That second number, we almost always talk about the first number because we're shooting tanks and CAVs and all that stuff. But that second number, when you dig into the game and get below the surface, there are lots of soft targets out there. And that second number is really important, especially if you're facing a force of all aircraft. So then it comes with 4 light guided missiles, also 4-4. This thing is just a beast at shooting down other aircraft. Soft, double time, improved handling, ammo bin 1, TC1, and tag. Can fire those guided missiles without having to have a target lock.
Yeah, it's absolutely a dogfight.
Yeah, if you are playing aircraft, you do not want to see this on the other side of the table. This thing is good at eating aircraft. All right. It is Hobby Habit. You are totally right. The crossbow is gorgeous. So now we're going to get out of the sky. Well, we're going to go back in the sky a little bit later. But right now we're going to drop down to the ground and we're going to talk about the Ryoshi. The Ryoshi is a recon vehicle, 6 damage tracks. It has 2 light rocket 15s, 4-4, means it can engage soft targets, but not aircraft. Indirect fire cannot target flyers. So it's good against infantry, it's good against the Mamba, it's good against things on the ground, but you can't shoot artillery at aircraft for some reason. It also comes with 2 heavy machine guns for those infantry that we were talking about earlier. It's a hard target. It has anti-infantry, ECM1 and EST, which are probably its gigantic selling points. I mean, this thing punches pretty good, and it's an ECM warfare unit, so it's incredible. And it has an advanced targeting computer 1. So this is a buyer. This is I definitely want some of these. And Chris Lewis just earlier this year modified the model, sort of upgraded it. The old one was showing its age in terms of its design. This one is awesome. I love the way it looks. Of course, I love a lot of things, including coconut. Sorry, did I say that out loud? All right, Warden B. So this is an important piece in CAV because this is from a new artist, right, John? A few tweaks from Mr. Lewis, who knows exactly how to dial in things for production. And I don't know the fellow's name. Do we want to? You want to look that up for later? Oh, okay. It's an artist. His name is Chris. Just you sort it out. All right. That's great. Now I can quote every CAV artist in the world. So the Warden B is a recon vehicle, 4 damage tracks, 2 light racks with AoE 2. Again, it was now I just don't understand. Somebody needs to show me that on the table. Maybe during one of the Learn to Plays, you can cover racks and how their AoE work. Okay, because that would help me out a lot. It's a soft vehicle, double time, improved handling, ECM2, another, oh my gosh. Little tiny inexpensive ECM models are a blessing. You want them to help the Kodiak destroy people. It's rugged and it has ammo bin 1. He's just hold on, Hugh. You gotta speak up or we can't hear you. Yeah, you're just too far away. So we have an offline rules question that's going on now. Hold on a second. Right. Okay, so what John is saying is when we do our Learn to Play the Game section, somebody take a note, we're going to cover light racks have a lot of things to learn about light racks. Okay, there's some nuances to the rules that John needs to share with us that I don't understand. I was hearing them discuss it offline, and you definitely want to tune in for that because apparently light racks are...
No, it's not light racks. It's this particular...
That's even breaking news. This model is special.
It's a quirk.
Definitely. So later on this weekend when John does his Learn to Play thing, we need to talk about the Warden B because it is a snowflake amongst recon vehicles. Tune in for news. Okay. In other words, tune in. There's going to be stuff for us to learn. All right, so now we're going to move on to some models that we have seen but are still exciting. The Cobra. All right, so the Cobra is a recon CAV. Movement of 13, very quick. Clearly going to have double time. It's got 2 light laser bolt guns, 3-3. Again, very good against soft targets. It's a hard target with double time, active phased array 1, which is basically shorthand for I'm going to punch you harder everywhere, and you can't do much about it. EST, it has relentless, which I think means it ignores crits. Leg crits. Motive crits, right? So if you get a critical hit on its legs, it keeps going. It doesn't care. Slides around on its belly, maybe. I don't know. So, I see. Oh yeah. Lots of things about this, right? So what John pointed out off screen was this thing. Basically, as it degrades, its movement degrades at a different rate than the other systems because it's relentless. It just keeps going. It also has advanced targeting computer 1 and tag. All right. So this one we've seen, we saw this one last year, right? In the fall. Yeah. Yeah. So you've had the opportunity to pick these up back during the first virtual CAV-CON back in September of last year. Yeah, resin 3D prints. So now what's happening is these are going to be regular dual cast. Now, I've seen resin and dual cast side by side. Dual cast is better. So you absolutely want to pick these up. Yeah, that's right. Right. When John was working with the company that he got this stuff from to make dual cast, they did some tests for him to prove that the concept worked for his miniatures. And so some of you probably actually have some dual cast Cobras out there. So if you do, Cobras, Tusekis, and Despot Bs. And so if you have, share your experiences in chat to let the other people know how good looking these models are really going to be. Plus, it's incredibly useful. I mean, it's got the 2 laser bolt guns, active phase array, and EST. That's a fantastic combination. You want those in your force. Ooh, so Thunderhead is painting Cobras tonight. So that I don't know if it's okay. Sweet. Yeah. So Thunderhead Studios is painting models tonight, and he's going to have either the Despot or the Cobra or something like that. We need to tune in and see what he does with that. He's a serious painter. That guy is really good. I look up to him quite a bit. So the Despot B is a model that we've seen for a while. It was part of the deal that the company that worked with John for the dual cast printed for him. So some of you again have got these things in your hands. It's a beast of a vehicle, 8 damage tracks. It's got a heavy Mac that's 7.3. It's turreted, which means of course it can shoot anywhere it wants, which is a valuable thing for a vehicle. Here's the thing that you just don't realize until you look closely at the stat sheet. It has 4 light guided missiles, okay? And those things are 4/4. So, I mean, that doesn't sound like a ton, but you could salvo those for a +3. I mean, 4 shots after you punch somebody with your Mac, right? The next round, you pepper them with all these guided missiles. Now that their armor's gone down a little bit, there's a lot of really cool stuff on this thing. Its SAs are hard, bulky, which really comes into play when you start transporting things. Interesting. Turret Assault 1, which means it can ignore one of the -1s when it does a run and gun attack. Chameleon, that has an ammo bin and an advanced targeting computer 1. A squad of those coming over the horizon.
Now, it should also be noted that Chameleon on a tank with heavy Mac basically makes it a born sniper.
Yeah, because so what Chameleon does, it makes you -1 to hit it, extreme and long. I'm not sure.
Extreme and long.
Extreme and long, right? So what you do is you sit back, maybe in there's a thing tanks can do that. Yeah, you can pull it behind a hill or something and declare cover from the hill and shoot at long range with your guided missiles and claim Chameleon. So now you're an extra 1 harder to hit. Those things they're bad news. Wait a minute, where did this beauty come from? What the heck?
Now here's something you'll really like.
Yes, and now for something really interesting. The Hind, okay, also known as, oh my God, when can I order this thing? Yeah, seriously. Yes. All right, so this is an aircraft. Remember earlier I said I really love the way the Tuseki look, and then I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. This is a 6 damage track flyer, only movement 6, so it's not out there racing around with the fast dogs, but it does some other things.
And here's why.
Here's why. So this thing has an armor of 9 as a flying brick, concrete bunker, 1 medium rack, 6.3, limited ammo, obviously, light rack, or excuse me, a light rocket 5, 2 of those. It has soft, improved handling, pop-up. There's that evil SA again. Advanced targeting computer 1 and Wizzo. So this thing, you shoot it, it goes, what? Did you reach out and touch me? Forget you. I'm going to put a medium MRAC through.
And it's soft.
That thing is yeah, it's evil, right? Soft. It is soft. So when the Kodiak wants to try and punch up, literally. All right. So let's back up and walk through this. All right. So this is a soft aircraft. All right, Kodiak. Pull the Kodiak back over. Okay? Grab that Kodiak. Let's just walk through a little bit of why the Hind is such an evil creature. All right. So the Kodiak is armed with MRACs, right? Or not, no, racks. Sorry, is what I meant to say. Racks. Racks have that strike ability.
No, max.
Okay, so let's pull the card out. Let's stop guessing. Go back to the beginning. The Kodiak has heavy max, all right? And has 3 heavy max and 2 heavy rocket 10s, okay? So the heavy max have the strike SA, which means they cannot damage soft targets. What's the Hind? Soft target. The other weapon that the Kodiak has is rocket 10s, which are indirect fire. Cannot target aircraft with indirect fire. So the Hind basically says, Kodiak, bleep you. There's a lot more to this game than meets the eye. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. All right.
I personally foresee like 4 Hinds flying in formation, right of the Valkyries, and just raining hellfire. Yeah, he's gonna drop the yes. Yeah.
All right. So we got a question in chat from Chandler. Would the MRAC be on a turret? I'm looking. I don't think it is. So this has got the one problem with vehicles and aircraft is you got to point at your target at during your movement at the point at which you want to shoot. You have to be looking at your target. All right, John. Can we get a ruling here? Is the width of the Hind the rotor blades or is it the body? So does that include the rotors? Okay, so let's be clear about that. So when you've got a vehicle or an aircraft that doesn't have a turret, you can only your line of fire is the width of your model, all right? And for the Hind, that does not, according to John, I think he knows the rules, does not include the rotors. So you got to line this shot up properly. But if you're looking at a Kodiak, you got all day because he can't touch you unless you land next to him. In which case, I guess he could probably mess you up. Probably not going to happen. Not on my list of top things to do. Yeah, because it's an aircraft on the ground. Well, I guess that's the only way that's going to happen. All right. Does the Hind have a transport option? Boy, this Hind's a popular fellow. Does not. At least not on here.
B could have a transport option.
John says there will. Breaking news. John says there will be a Hind variant that does have transport. Don't have it yet. That's just going to be another data card, right? Yeah. So he'll make a data card. Yeah, you're right, man. The Hind does not want to see a cheetah. That's a whole different story. All right. Now, wait a minute. Now now you're talking something crazy. We were picking on the Kodiak, not the cheetah. Do we have else in here? Ships of Dune, the Hind is second. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we're not done yet because we found a couple of other things that we want to talk about. And again, these are models that you've been aware of, you've seen in the past, but they've been special release, like CAV-CON special sort of things. You haven't been able to buy them except for a very narrow period of time. And so we're going to talk about the King Cobra, which is, I guess, the big brother of the regular Cobra. All right, so what we got here is we've got a Recon Cav, which is a really beefy looking guy. I love the way this guy looks. I've got some of these painted up. John was kind enough to give me some for the last CAV-CON to paint for my Miracle. So this is a Movement 10 Recon guy, 5 armor, has four medium LBGs that are 4.4. That's a lot of salvo if you need to reach out and touch somebody at extreme range. And again, it's good at shooting down aircraft. Now the Hind's got a lot of armor, but at least you can shoot at it meaningfully. The King Cobra comes with hard, double time, anti-infantry, ECM 2, superior mobility, advanced targeting computer 2, and tag. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. I'm like a puppy in the window. I just want to play. All right. Better? Hold on, we're trying to get you a better picture. Well, all right. So this is the King Cobra finally. I'll do my best not to dance on the table anymore. I'm sorry. An excellent recon mech. It's got 4 medium LBGs, right? So again, that's just a ton of options for you. You can fire 4 individual shots to pick on somebody who's got weakened armor. You can lump them all together for a big salvo. There's just a lot of options. And it's quick enough to get double time early in the game. Advanced Targeting Computer 2, ECM 2. So it's going to tend to win those ECM fights again. Also good against infantry. That is the King Cobra. And now for one of my favorite models, the Spatha. Right? The Spatha is a nice little grav tank. Right? It's an attack vehicle with 8 damage tracks, 7 armor. It has 4 medium max. All right, so that's a strength of hard 5, 2 versus soft. Strike. It has trouble shooting down hinds. And the hind causes problems for lots of people. For its essays, it has hard, bulky, improved handling, turret, so it doesn't have to look at its targets. Pop up. That's an evil essay. Have I said that before? And chameleon. All right, ammo bin and advanced targeting computer 1. So this thing is good at fishing for crits. All right, if you're in range where you can hit at a reasonable time, you could take 4 shots. It's got blaster 1, which means it crits on a 10. 10, yeah. A crit is 12. Blaster is crit on 11. Blaster 1 is crit on 10. Blaster 2 is crit on 9. Yeah, so this thing's got Blaster 1, which means you can take 4 shots fishing for a 10 to get a critical hit in CAV. And just in case some of you might not know, when you critical hit in CAV, you get to roll an extra attack dice into your attack roll. So this thing it's good at lasering down and salvoing into something that it's having trouble hitting because the range is bad or it's double timed or something. And if you've got something that's got kind of lowish armor, or it's been beat up a little bit already, you just put those 4 max into it and watch it disintegrate. I love this. I've got 4 of these guys. This thing is awesome. I said awesome yet today because I feel like I don't use that
like
word
once
enough.
or twice.
Maybe once or twice. Yeah.
And this was another one, resin print.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So in the past, you were able to get these as a limited edition resin printed model during, I think, our previous CAV-CON. But again, the exciting news is everything we've talked about today is either available now for the Kodiak and the Mamba and the Badger. Available now. And the rest of that stuff is going to be available sometime between now and June. We don't know the specific timeline. John's got a lot of work to do. But by June, if we don't have these things yet, we're going to be going, John. Coconut donuts, John. You want them? Give them to us.
We're CAV is now.
Seriously. All right. So now that you've heard enough of me for a day and a half, we're gonna close this out. Look real quick and see if we have any questions. Thanks, soon. I'm resistant to buying Templar, and now Miracle forces are crumbling. Yes, hobby habits succumb to the temptation. But yeah, we're going to wrap this up, and we're going to move over to what's the next subject? What are we doing next? Future of CAV? Yeah, that makes sense. We're talking about future models. Now, John's going to come on, and he's going to talk to you about where CAV is going in the near future. So stay tuned in. Go get yourself some water, because God knows I need some. And we're going to be right back with the man himself, John from Big. On?
We're on.
Awesome. My favorite word.
You get to wait for me to get over here. Okay, and then we get to share the mic. I feel like we're so we're tied at the waist here. All right. Phone here, so I'll be able to read what's going on. All right, so I get questions all the time. What are we doing with CAV? So we're going to spend a little time talking about it, answering questions, whatnot, where we're going there. Right now, our emphasis is on the miniatures. With everything that happened last year, with the supply chain out of China and everything being what it is, costs are going through the roof. Shipping costs are going crazy.
They're not just stuck in the Suez Canal.
If they're not, yeah, and God forbid if they got to get through the Suez Canal right now. So that's really been our emphasis. So, you know, we did a lot of searching, we did a lot of looking around, and came up with the dual cast. It's been a long process. I think we actually started acquiring everything back in June of last year, and it's just now we just got the last stuff in for it. So so that's really what we're at right now. That's kind of between COVID and making that change. It's kind of put the brakes on what we expected to do last year. You know, we were finishing up the JOR, the Journal of Recognition, our campaign book, the Rules of Engagement that Herb Bias and me are working on. Our first flashpoint, we were trying to get that done, and it just got in the way of everything. But my feeling was we're a miniatures game. It's hard to be a miniatures game if you don't have miniatures. So we have to get that supply line and that process dialed in and supported. So it's kind of put not brakes, because there's still stuff being worked on. It's just not at the forefront of where I wanted us to be last year. Last year was really going to be a lot more source material orientated, and it just didn't happen with all the deal. You would have thought with us all being stuck that we would have got more stuff written and done, but it just didn't work out that way. So that's really where we're at. It's going to take us a month or two to get acclimated with the new equipment, the new processes. We're going to have the ability to do our molds in-house. I mean, we're going to do everything in-house. So there's some new processes there when building molds. It's never been built like this before. It's not that we're testing any of the technology. It's already tested. It's already been being used by other companies. But it is, we do have our own mix of material, the way that we are going to use it as. And we have to learn. There's no easy way to learn this other than by trial and error. So bear with us. I know James was talking about with the earlier minis. We've got a lot of minis in the pipe that are all ready to go. They're already mastered and whatever. They just have to go to mold, and we're good to go. So that's where we're at as part of that. So. My goal is to at least be up to 2 miniatures a month by May or June. So we've got that going. Now, what else are we going to do? Well, we've talked about it in the past. The MDF stuff is going to become a very important part of what we're doing here. The Badger kind of started out as a proof of concept. Just see if we could build. There are some limitations with MDF because of the thickness and direction, and you can make some changes and stuff, but it makes for a different look. It's not as smooth or as polished as sometimes we feel. The Badger lent itself to that very well. It was basically a flying brick. So, you know, it didn't take a lot of changes to make it work in that. And it turned out good. It turned out 10 times better than I thought it was going to turn out. So, so for that part of it, I'm very happy and look forward to doing it. I don't know what else that we will do with it as far as drop ship wise. I know that the other factions drop ships don't lend themselves as well to MDF. With that being said, though, the Amethryl's drop ship has not been designed. So there's probably a good chance we'll do another one for the Amethyl and be able to design that from scratch, knowing that it's going to be an MDF. So I think it'll be even better than the Badger, and there'll be some stuff that we can do with it that we didn't do with the Badger, because I'm not trying to stay true to a model. We also, and Chris will talk a little bit about his stuff tonight too, Thunderhead. We have signed an agreement with him, and it's all done, and it's just a matter of us moving forward. He developed an entire line of 3D printable buildings. They're great looking. They're very hardcore sci-fi, great stuff. He really designed them with BattleTech in mind, so they're a little smaller buildings. But we are going to take those building designs, transfer them into an MDF design, take into account its things, and release those as a full building line of and we'll continue to add to it. And there's pieces that we've got that we want to put into it too. That, you know, you'll be able to go in and build an entire city.
Now, make sure that I understood you correctly. This stuff that we're going to create an MDF, we're going to upscale it in 10 millimeter universe.
Correct. It's going to be. Okay. Yes, it's going to be upscale because it's really more 6 millimeter in scale. So it won't quite be twice as big. Because there's a couple of the buildings that if you probably twice them as big, they're really going to be big. But they'll be scaled for 10 millimeter. They'll work.
Yeah. So for those of you who are familiar with Chris's work, this is the Trinity City stuff, right?
Right.
So if you've seen his BattleTech products that are labeled Trinity City, that's exactly the same files.
Yes.
We're just gonna make them work in MDF and then scale them up so that they're good to go with CAV.
Right.
And other than that, that's the initial step. And then we're going to add on the existing stuff that you've already got and expand from there.
Right. We've got stuff that we want to do, that we want to add to it. And Chris is also committed to building more designs.
Even better.
So there'll be some stuff down the road that he'll add to it as well. And that's one of the reasons we've discontinued. We've been carrying the TT Combat stuff. They build 10 millimeter stuff for Drop Zone Commander. So it was a good crossover. Because 10 millimeter buildings are hard to find. But since we're going to switch over to that, we've been closing that out. So just FYI, plug number 3 is we do have a little bit of TT Combat stuff left. It's on the website. It's 50% off. So if you want to get some of that, get it while you can. Because once it's gone, it's gone. They're out in England. So it's very expensive to try to order that stuff direct from them. So
that's a fantastic deal. I mean, there's still a little bit of it left, and honestly, so I think some of it's going home with me. So if you want some, you better get an order in soon.
Yeah, I think most with the 50% off, I think they average like $6, $7, $8 a kit.
Freaking cheap.
Yeah. So anyway, so that we've got that going. Another thing that we are looking at that we're experimenting with is 3D files. We are looking at these at more of from a terrain. We don't have any intention right now to design cabs or vehicles or anything as 3D files, but there's a lot of terrain items that are out there that we can expand on and have available. I don't know necessarily that we'll sell them. It'll be probably stuff that you can download and stuff like that. So I don't know exactly how we'll do it. We have talked about doing maybe a couple of Kickstarters that they lend themselves well to that, a big pile of files for $10. So that might be a direction that we're going to go with it. We already have some that you can download for free. We did some buildings way back in the day, and they need to be upscaled because they were scaled for 6mm. But if you go to the downloads page on the CAV-HQ site, there at the very bottom, there's a link to go that you can download the STL files. So I think if you upscale them to 150%, they work okay.
You got questions about alternate?
Will it be possible in the future to get alternate weapons? Yes, in some way it will. We're looking at it at two ways. Now that we have dual cast, we can actually do weapon packs again. We're not limited in the fact, like when we get our models from China, because if we take the weapons off the model, then the rest of the model is. So we'll actually be able to cast weapons by themselves. We're looking at two different ways. Is either one, STL files that you can just download, and if you have, and especially if you're not an STL kind of guy or you don't know anything, especially if you live in and it doesn't have to be like a New York City, but a large area. There's a lot of what they call maker spaces that are becoming very popular. That are a lot of times they're clubs, sometimes they're local schools put them together and stuff. But I mean, they've got 3D printers that you can come in there and use and print a file on, and some of them don't even charge you. It's just time to be there. So
nowadays there's a way. I mean, so for me, 3D printing is not a thing I'm particularly interested in. But if I want a 3D printed model, I know people. I can hire somebody on the internet to do it. I know that in Tulsa there are two or three of these maker places. I could go and figure out how to do it in a day and just print up some of these files if I wanted to.
There is are you familiar with Fiverr?
Yes.
All right. There's like 200, 300 people on there that print 3D files.
Oh, really?
That's all they do. You supply them with the file, they print it out, they clean it up, they send you the finished product.
I didn't know that.
And they're not bad. I mean, there's some of, just pay attention to the ratings and stuff like that. But there's a lot of them that are out there doing stuff, and it's not horribly expensive. So.
Yeah. So absolutely. Bring on some of these files. I like options.
Right, yeah. Some libraries have 3D printers. Ours does here in El Dorado. So yeah, and it's just you have the material. You come in, you can use the printers. So, so that's where we're on weapons. So and then the alternate would be we will actually design some weapon packs that we will put together that will have the ability to cut things out, change things and everything. One of the things I'm really pushing forward, it becomes more difficult with multiple artists, is we had always intended for everything to be standardized. So if you took this arm off of this guy, that same slot would fit into there. For whatever reason, I'm sure it had to do with the way that the model had to be cast or whatever. It never failed, even though we sent them all over to China all that way. When they came back, they had changed them. They made some longer, they made some different, they changed some to squares. They're very used to actually assembling the models. Okay, so and we don't need them assembled, but for whatever reason they thought maybe they would down the road, I don't know. So they key that stuff so that they know so anybody can pick it up and knows that it goes in there without them having to have a picture here in front of them to know how it goes.
Only goes together one way.
Right. So so that's it works out good from a sense of you're just putting that model together. It makes, when they're keyed, it makes them super easy to put them together. But it does get in the way of trying to mod things. So anyway, we're trying to standardize those. Going forward, most of the holes will be hex shaped, whereas the pins will be round. And because the rounds will fit into the hex shape, people ask why we use the hex shapes. It's because holes that are in the material, that is where the greatest chance you have of shrinkage, warpage. So sometimes, even if you'll see with the new Despot B, we're going to have to make a change with that. you try to fit that turret in that hole, it doesn't fit. And that's because when that stuff cools, the holes shrink and the pins expand.
Oh, yeah,
okay?
yeah. Makes sense.
Right. So the pins aren't so bad because they'll fit into the deal, but by using a hex and having straight edges, that cuts down on the, or it doesn't shrink as bad.
It gives you a little wiggle room.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why we do that. Yeah, round pegs, hex holes. So it's just a matter of, it just makes them easier to fit down the road in case we have some expansion or something like that. Because there's no rhyme or reason to it. You might do an entire run and it's fine. The next run that you do, because of humidity, temperature running hotter or something, they're a different expansion and then they don't fit. Right. So it's hard sometimes to know what's right. What else miniature wise? Does that pretty much cover what we talked about here miniature wise?
I think it does.
Broadsword dropship that came up earlier. We are going to do a broadsword dropship. I don't know 100% how we're going to do it yet. We are looking at it all comes down to the body. It's just the body is big, and to try to do it in one piece, which it really needs to be done. We don't have that ability to do that in house, other than 3D print it, and we're not really set up to be doing big 3D print runs.
Volumetric.
Yes, over and over and over. So it's a matter of figuring out how we can do it. There might be some ability to do it with dual cast. We're going to
cut it into slices.
Well, it might actually fit,
really?
Depending on what we take off of it. What I was looking at is taking off the ends,
right?
So it'd be more of a box, and then you would glue the two ends on.
So you get like the central cube or square
of the body,
and then like a set of tails and nacelles, and then a cockpit and a weapons pod and things.
Right. So and
let's
because
go work on that now. Let's go.
Because part of the problem too is it can't be cast as a solid; it has to be hollow.
Right.
So
there's just too much material.
Right. So we have to figure that into it as well. I don't know, but I promise you there will be a broadsword done. I don't know yet how it's going to be done.
So let me summarize here. I think I heard something, and my ears sometimes get bigger than they really should be. So we definitely have a Badger. We know we have a Badger dropship. Right? Yes. Promise we're going to get a broadsword.
Yes.
Somehow, some way. I thought I heard earlier that there was noise about an Almirathil dropship.
Yes.
So you're telling me at some point in time in CAV, I'm going to have 3 separate dropships.
Yes.
Hold on. Where's my credit? I'm ready, John. Let's do it.
They're just great pieces to have on the board. I mean,
awesome.
they're fun to have. They're cool to fight around. You know, the last CAV-CON we put that one in the board, and a big part of the combat revolved around going around that broadsword. So,
and I'll tell you something that's fantastic for CAV is when you set up in your local game store and you put a dropship on the table. People that don't know what miniatures are come by to see what's going on.
Yeah.
We would play it at my local store, Team Covenant, and the guys that are only there to play cards would come over and go, "What's that?" And we'd talk to them, and a couple of them hung around, and some of them rolled some dice with us. So it's like the perfect icebreaker to get people to come and talk to you about your favorite games. That's why I need 3 of them, John. 1 in each third of the table.
Yeah, the scariest part, though, is, and I mentioned earlier when I was on the chat, is I'm looking forward to building a crashed one. So there's a good chance the one that you were playing with earlier is going to become the prototype one is going to be the crashed one. There is. I used to run a really cool scenario where it was called A Tale of Two Cities.
Okay.
And what I did is there was a river that ran down the middle of the board, and there were 2 cities, one on each end, and the river, kind of like the Twin Cities up in Minneapolis or whatever. And it was 2 factions were fighting, and one side had captured this city, and this other one this deal. Well, this drop ship that was bringing supplies in had got damaged and crashed down here in the center area.
Right.
And as it broke apart coming in, storage containers fell out and
littered across the center.
Deal, right.
Okay.
So the object was, in the certain amount of game time, was the most the most that you could get out and grab storage containers and get them back to your city.
Haul them back to your city.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But to win, some point somebody's got to go across the river to get at least one from that side to have the
because there's an even number on both sides.
There's an even number on both sides. So the ones on your side are easy to get, but you've got to get a couple across from the other deal. So, and there's a bridge that runs across the river. So it was all the shit hit the bridge and it went. So I'm looking forward to doing that one again. But I need a crash ship. So.
Well, you need a crash ship, and then we could do the Desert Rat version of that, right? The Rat Patrol version.
The Rat Patrol. But and that's, you know, and it's funny too. Something about grab the boxes and cows. That's going to be the great thing with dual casting, is having the ability to do it. You're going to see a lot of the most useless kits that you never would have thought would have ever been done. I see us doing some cows, some horses.
I love it.
Just stuff like that. Because I'm a model builder. Exactly. I'm a terrain builder, and that's the stuff I like. If I can get 10mm cars, stuff like that. We have an entire line of engineering vehicles that are already designed. I mean, these are for CAV haulers and tow trucks and all kinds of stuff. Scout helicopters, the generic stuff. Yes.
So what I need is... the parking lot on my urban mat needs to be full of 10mm cars at the mall so I can step on them.
Yes, yeah, because Jeff played that scenario. Jeff remembers that game. It was a great game. I love playing that game. Horns, I'm going to mount a whole cow in front of my badger. Yeah.
I like it.
Well, and that's really where I mean, you kind of see that mentality with the terrain.
Yeah.
A lot of it I tried to follow with some of the battlefield stuff from the book, you know, because there's things in there. And that's just, it's really cool stuff to put on the board when you're building stuff. It makes that game go to the next level.
There's a word, it's called verisimilitude. It gives your game the sense of realness, truth. I absolutely need that. We need little stop signs. I need a little puppy dog running down the street away from my dude. Well, that's pretty small in 10mm. Yes, we need all that stuff, John.
I actually have a couple of corrals. I found some in-scale cows years ago, and I built one of the games we played. I've got 2 corrals full of cows that we put down in the middle of the board. So,
oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, but so you're going to see stuff like that as we go along. It's just stuff that we can. You know, no way could we have done it in metal because just certainly not through China or something like that, because the startup cost on it just we would never recover any of that. So, but with the dual cast and the way that it's set up and the cheaper molds and stuff like that, that's something, you know, I may one Saturday morning decide that we need to have this, and you know, really, if we get on the ball by Monday afternoon, we could be producing the stuff.
I love the sound of that.
Yeah. So,
CAV balls. Scientists leave out wisdom. Creating a vehicle that launches mines that dig themselves into the dirt. Is that question?
Well, technically, I mean, that's kind of the way the minefields work. I mean, minefields in the game are smart minefields, so they kind of do their own thing. There's no real vehicles, but you can, that's where artillery comes in. Right. Artillery has mine rounds.
What is that called again?
Fast cam.
Fast cam, yeah, okay. Yeah, so do yourself a favor and go into the back of the CAV book and look through some of those oddball options that are for the more narrative style game. Read the section on minefields, okay? Minefields in CAV are smart. Everything in CAV is smart, but the minefields are really smart, right? So if an area is covered by a minefield and a tank drives through it and it blows up, now the center of the minefield is normally depleted of mines. Not in CAV. Yeah. The mines are integrated, and they'll realize, oh, we're missing some coverage, and they'll redistribute themselves to provide coverage in their area until, of course, there's only a handful of them left and they can't do that.
Right.
So there's a lot of really interesting material in the back of the CAV book that I missed because I was just, how do I kill Todd? Good Lord, his models are terrible.
Wait till you read about aircraft minefields.
They shoot down aircraft?
Yes. It's funny because anytime that comes up, people are like, you got minefields that shoot down aircraft? There's no way. And then they go read how they're just built. Yeah. And they're like, oh, now I get it. And there were we made the counter for it in the terrain. There's the aircraft.
The one with the big one in the center.
The deal with the pods, the lines that go out.
So in the Kickstarter 3 terrain pack, you got an anti-air minefield.
Yes.
And they're available for sale now today. So those aircraft that we were talking about that are coming out soon, that Mr. Geek is going to buy all those Tseki's and make his opponents unhappy, you need some anti-aircraft minefields to take care of that guy or gal. I'm not sure, whichever one. Whoever you are.
However you identify.
That's right. May your calves all be painted and your dice full of 6s.
All right, so that's where we are with the miniatures. So there's a lot of stuff we've got. There's a lot of stuff going with the MDF and everything's like that. So those are our big emphasis right now because they are things that we control and can get to and get out the door quick. 2020 was a rough year for all of us. It was a very rough year for Talon Games. Yes. With not being able to do anything, not running a Kickstarter that we had kind of thought about doing. That we've talked ourselves out of now, but going to shows is how we get our player base to grow, okay? Because unfortunately, in this day and time, we don't have the resources that we had even 10 years ago to get a hold of people, right? There's no trade magazines. There's no, there's nothing like that. Retailers have really moved away from they've all kind of become a Walmart. It's very rare for you to find a game retailer now that is wide enough to cover several people. You can go into any game store and buy all the Magic and Pokemon and board games and Dungeons and Dragons that you want. But, and I don't blame a retailer for being that. I mean, it's easy money. That's where it is. You're trying to keep the door open. 2020 was rough for everybody. I get it. You're going to sell $5,000 worth of D&D or $100 worth of CAV a month. I get it. I understand where it's at. The other side of that coin, though, is you're never going to sell it or grow it if you don't get started with it, okay? And I get stores all the time that a group gets in there and starts playing. They bring the minis in there. The guys come in every week. They buy minis regardless. They buy a couple every time they're in there. And the more people they have, the more they sell every week. And it grows and it keeps going. And obviously with us having lots of new releases coming out, that's going to help that model even more. That's one of the things Kickstarter is bad for, is because we did Kickstarters. We sent all those minis out to everybody and all these people had all these minis. So it's very hard to come back and tell people you're going to have to wait 6 months so that you can get that CAV, even though this guy's kicking your butt with them. Okay,
yeah, that's never a good feeling.
So at the end of the Kickstarter, we released everything because we wanted everybody to have that and out there. And when you're an active game, we had to do that. That killed releases for the next 6 months to a year until we did another Kickstarter because we had nothing new to come out because we were using the Kickstarter model. So that's a good thing that we're moving away from.
You definitely want, me as a customer, just caveat emptor here, everybody, I'm only a customer. I'm just a friend of John's who loves CAV and likes to help him out. So I am the quintessential customer, and I want every month, I want to be looking forward to the new model. I want the Mamba, I want the Kodiak, I want the Miracle Dropship, Broadsword. I want to have that stuff on my horizon. So I agree with you 100%, John. Kickstarters are fine. I like getting giant piles of miniatures, but honestly, I can't paint them all at once anyway. If I can get a couple of packs every month, I can actually get those painted and worked on and get them on the table and enjoy them instead of knowing, hey, I've got a giant box of miniatures out in the garage that I haven't gotten to. I think, from my perspective, that's a great model.
Another thing off the side of it that I'm probably going to do a new it's not going to become like the new official base size, but I think I'm going to do another plastic base that's a little bit bigger, either 35 or 40 millimeter.
Interesting.
That we're going to have Reaper produce for us here in styrene, so black bases like we've got. So I'm looking at that just to have as because we get a lot of people that ask for the bigger bases. With the bigger bases. I get it. I understand it. We've had the base thing going on forever, and I know there's people that like the big bases because they want to put more terrain, more stuff on there. I'm a small base guy. Okay. I don't like the base to get in the way of the game. And it's certainly because I play on so many different kinds of boards, desert, jungle, whatever. You know, you base something all nice and green and you put him in the middle of the desert board and it's like, but it's just personal preference. But I know people want some bigger bases, and by us putting them in plastic like that, it allows us to sell them dirt cheap.
So while we're on the subject of bases, can we talk about those MDF bases that are those part of the swag?
Yes, the 5 new MDF bases.
So is that a direction that you're going to go simultaneously, or is that a limited thing?
No, we're going to put those bases out later and come up with some new ones. The problem with textured bases in 10 millimeter is to make it look right.
Yes.
Okay, because if you there's a lot of you go out there, especially in fantasy, there's zillions of textured bases out there.
Oh, yeah.
But it's for larger scale, and you take that little terracotta road or whatever and try to apply it to 10 millimeter. It just doesn't work. Okay.
Now you say that, all right, but that you have. I wish I thought to grab it. So John painted up one of those the MDF bases, right? The one you did that looks like a street.
Right.
That thing is brilliant. All right. I wish I had thought to paint that thing up that way. It looks great. It's scaled right. It has the right feel. It's the sort of thing you could make 5 or 6 variants of, and they would all look good together on the table.
Right.
That is a brilliant.
Well, and see, and that's I can look at those kind of things where you can catch a corner or something. You keep it in scale, and it looks right without putting the whole thing on there. So those are the directions I'm going to go. The Good Huntsman is tired of his Conqueror falling over. If it's glued to a base, it shouldn't fall over, Good Huntsman.
Sometimes John is wrong. Small bases are just wrong. It's okay. He's allowed to be wrong once in a blue moon.
I don't remember if the Conqueror was an original model in Kickstarter 1, so I'm not 100% sure if the base actually fits inside the regular base. Yeah, but you just trim them down if you want to, or cut them off. So
I don't know how we can. This is the base I'm talking about, and I know you can't see this up close on this camera, but we'll find a way to get a good image of it up either on.
If you just look at the swag bag,
if
you go to the store.
I mean, the way you painted it, and you got this little head, it's perfect, John. It's freaking perfect. You can try if you want.
Just FYI, your bases will not come painted or have little bushes on them.
What?
So.
John, shame on you.
Yeah, and we do have clear bases. There's the other side of that. Especially if you want to be able to use the base on anything, you can use a clear one, and that way whatever the color is underneath it shines through. So
there's nothing wrong with that. I'm like John. I have my own opinion about bases. John's way of basing is really good. Clear bases are actually really neat. I hadn't thought of those until recently. That's a good idea. Just real quick, stick around for Hugh's segment afterwards, and you get to see that base I'm talking about that John painted. It's brilliant. You guys really need to see that base.
Well, and I'm not, and don't talk up my painting skills, because the shapes are engraved into the piece, so it's basically like a coloring book. You just fill in the between the lines. So
you may say that. All right, I looked at the exact same base. I have that exact same base at my house. I did not see what you did with it. Yeah. All right, and now that I've seen it, I'm stealing your idea. Right? I'm just pocketed. I'm taking it away with me. I'm gonna have a dozen of those bases.
All right. So next big release is also the updated initiative deck. Okay. We've talked about it a little bit. I want to take the initiative deck to the next level and make it more of a part of the game, make it more functional for smaller games as well. the basic premise is already put together. We've got everything done. Each card is going to has its own individual artwork to it. So that's where we're at right now. And we're just trying to, there's 52, 54 cards in it or whatever. So it's a lot of artwork that I'm having to get together.
So obviously you mean CAV specific art.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. To the universe. It
Right.
may not have a CAV on it, but it's going to be something from the universe
Right.
where, I mean, it may be
Picture of a famous
it'll
city.
be a picture of something and maybe either a quote or a little story or something that goes, especially with just the numbered
Right.
cards and stuff like that. But it might be, something about the Mercenary Bonding Authority
Right.
or something about
Third
Drake's
Corps.
beer
Yeah.
or anything like that. So,
Absolutely.
so that's upcoming. That's on my top of my list to go, to get finished up, because I think that that's a big step for the game overall, to have. And then that kind of takes us into the books. We are finishing up the first Journal of Recognition. We are finishing up the Rules of Engagement campaign book. So, obviously the JOR is going to focus on, and one of the reasons the JOR has got stretched out is we've kind of grown it. And originally it was supposed to just be a single piece of art showing a deal. Now we've included painted models on each page as well for an additional unit. So now you've got every model that's in the book will have 2 different paint schemes, 2 different units, things like that. So it's just kind of expanded in the way that it did. We had to break it up as well. It was just getting too big.
In the old system, there were 2 JORs.
There were
right?
2, and then they didn't cover everything. So
I mean, the JOR is an ongoing enterprise.
but it's everything. It's going to be hardback. It's going to be color. It's going to be a great book.
XE.
The campaign book, the Rules of Engagement book. Again, it's another one that the system has grown from what it is. But it's set up that you can be a faction force, a mercenary, a pirate, a corporate security, whatever. And you'll actually be able to grow your force and fight different stories and stuff like that. And there'll be enough stuff in there, especially it's miniature gaming with a role playing element. Is basically the description is the best of the deal. So you can make as much of it as you want to or whatever, but there's systems in there for generating planets, opposing forces. Lots of background information, lots of stories. It's going to be a great book. Herb Bias, if you're BattleTech guys, Herb worked on the first JORs as well. So he's come over and he's helping me write the campaign book. So I'm really looking forward to that. The stuff that I've seen is great. We've got, and as soon as I tie up what I'm having to do with the JR, I'm switching more into the Rules of Engagement book and go. Flashpoints, I know we've talked about those. The first one is, I've said it over and over, it's so close to being done. I just haven't had time to go into it. So I'm trying to get there. Yes, I know, New Memphis, ITs. I think of it, I work a little bit on it every week. It's close. I promise, Brandon, close. So that kind of covers everything that's for sure in the pipe. The next thing is maybe, and we'll talk about some of this a little more, is what we might look at doing in the future. Okay. Chris has been working on some 32 millimeter figures. I envision there to be all kinds of different figures in that line. And it's going to become one of 2 things. It's either going to be the basis of our generic sci-fi figure line, just like, if you're playing a fantasy game and you need a bugbear, you go to Reaper Miniatures and find a bugbear, and they've got 10 different versions of it. Well, we want to kind of do that with sci-fi minis, and their sci-fi games are coming more and more on with Starfinder and things like that. Frostgrave guys got a one coming out. So, sci-fi is kind of coming to the deal, but there's not a lot of sci-fi miniatures out there. Out of the deal. So especially if you want to get outside of just being a troop or something like that. So we're going to have pilots, engineers, all kinds of little scientists, things like that. And that they split off into 2 different things. Either one, a skirmish type game, a larger scale game, and a role-playing game.
I was just going to say, so in other words, what you're really saying is we'll have models for our CAV RPG.
Yes. But we've got a whole session that we're going to talk about tomorrow with RPG.
Yes.
So we'll get them.
There's going to be a lot of fun conversation about that. Look forward to that.
Yes.
Definitely.
Go ahead.
Are you ready to talk about this year's physical?
As far as conventions?
Yeah. I mean, there's at least one, right?
Well, okay. So here's where we're at on conventions. Because right now, I don't think no matter what anybody does or what anybody says, nothing's going to be before July. Okay. There's a couple of people a couple of groups that have run shows, but because of the requirements that they have as a show, the hotel's putting on them or whatever, they're being forced to keep, they're like 200 or 300 people. Okay. They're normally 16, 18, 2,000 people shows, and they're running 200. I don't know how they're doing that. if you know, unless the hotels is like, hey, we can't get anybody in here anyway, so give us $5, you can come in here and use the room. But we can't attend those shows.
It's just not.
I mean, if they're 30 minutes away, it's one thing, but anything that we have to travel and especially stay overnight at and stuff, it's just not economical for us. So that there's a problem there. We've talked to, and a good way to realize that is both Gen Cons and Origins move both of themselves to September.
Yeah.
Both of them, they're one weekend right after the other in September. I don't know who are the smart scientists that thought to do that, put the two biggest shows in the country weekend to weekend, but somebody's going to pay the piper for that. And I have a feeling it may be both of them.
Yeah.
So it's so that we've got that. A couple of shows I've talked to after July that are looking in August and whatever. We're not 100% sure yet as to what they're going to be able to do because everybody doesn't have a crystal ball. And right now they're still planning as a reduced attendance, and that hurts us as a vendor to go. Now, with that being said, ReaperCon is going ahead this year. They just announced here in the last week or two that they're going to go ahead the first weekend of September. There is some reduction as to what they normally have done. They're not going to have as big a footprint, I think, as they normally have. But because of our relationship with them and the easiness to get down there and the ability with the contacts we have and the fact we have so many supporters down there, we will be attending Reaper. We won't be attending as a CAV-CON event or anything like that. We'll be there as vendors. We'll have a couple of tables set up, which in the past when we've done that, just kind of everybody's got around it. They played CAV for 3 or 4 days. As new people show up, they figure work them into the game, or somebody takes them aside and gives them a little quickie learn to play kind of deal. So we will have that. We'll have a couple of tables. I'm really looking forward to it because generally we've got so much stuff going on there. It's 4 days of me doing nothing but working and sleeping. So it'll be nice to be kind of free the evenings, participate. We will be doing sponsorships for their painting contest, but that's probably the only big special thing. We may have a special mini release or something.
Us.
Well, I'll have to get on Ed because Ed promised me that he was going to do it. So he passed it off to the little guy. So I'll have to jump on Ed over that. But good. No, I'm glad that they mentioned for us this weekend.
Hello, Thunderhead.
All the hotel rooms for ReaperCon have already sold out. Yes and no. We had this conversation. What happens is when ReaperCon, when they originally start and go, the hotel says, listen, we're going to give you X number of rooms at this price. Go. All right. They still have hundreds of rooms or whatever that have not been spoken for. Okay. So either A, you can book that room separately on your own and pay the extra $20 a night or whatever. I don't know what it works out to. I think it's only $20 or $30 a night. Or you can wait, because as next month comes in and they're getting closer and closer to the deal and they have not reserved those rooms yet, they release another block of rooms to Reaper. Okay. So I think last time, I think they did 3 or 4 blocks about a month apart. And as they get closer and closer, if you want that special rate, again, if you don't want that rate, you can book that an extra room anytime you want. Same thing with the overflow. They don't normally give them all their rooms right off the bat. They give them whatever rooms it's corporate America bean counters. What they normally think they'll be able to rent. And if they know that they can do rooms for twice of what they're doing special ones, they're not going to give you a lot of special rooms. So hang in there and be ready, because it's when they pull the trigger, it goes. Hello, Thunderhead. Glad you're here. He'll be coming on tonight at 6 o'clock our time.
I think you're right.
Yeah. So, and going to however long he wants to go.
He's going to go to awesome. That's exactly what he's going to do. All the way up until awesome.
Well, I know, I mean, we've been to every ReaperCon there's ever been. So as far as the physical ones. So, I'm very familiar. I know with how many show up. I know how everything goes on there and like that. The main problem is I don't think Reaper is planning for as many people. So some of the stuff will be more limited. I do know that they are trying to put more classes. I know that they're trying to focus more on classes.
Let me ask you a question to help me clarify my understanding. Are you saying that Reaper is underestimating the number of people that are going to show up, or are you saying Reaper is capping the number of people that are going to show up?
It might be a little of both.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I don't know that officially. That's just my feeling from the deal, but I know from what we had planned for last year with the footprint that we had. I mean, literally, if you've ever been there, on the very far end, there's a whole set of rooms that never have got used. Those were going to be just Talon and Reaper's rooms last year. We were taking that whole section.
Sweet.
Half of it was ours, half of it was Reaper's. We were going to have all kinds of stuff going on. And they're not doing all that this year.
Yeah.
They're not taking.
People are just being careful, I guess, cautious.
Well, and again, they don't know what's going to happen in September. If there's stuff still going on, the hotel comes back and says, "Listen, we're only going to let you guys have 600 people in here a day." Right. They have to do it. There's nothing they can do.
If the virus comes back and it is annoying, it could change everything.
Would you guys hit the East Coast? My rule of thumb is 10 hours. So if you are within 10 hours of Wichita, Kansas, and you have a good base convention, let me know. I generally look for ones with 500 or 600 people at least.
Yeah.
And generally, if it works out, I will come. So let me know. But so I don't know. East Coast might be. I think the farthest I've gone is Nashville so far, because it hit right at the 10-hour line.
That's a long way to go for it.
It is, but I'm used. I've driven my entire life. I've been around trucks and everything like that. So 10 hours is about that's my limit.
Comfort zone for one day of driving. Yeah. Especially because when you get there, you have to then work the whole weekend, pack up all your stuff, and then drive all the way back. A lot of work.
And I will say this, Roland. I mean,
never say never.
Never say never, because it may not that I might not attend as a vendor. But, I get conventions sometimes that ask me to be a guest or just to come in and run a game or something like that. And if I can get on an airplane, I can go anywhere. Yeah, it's a different story. It's a different story. It's just bringing the road show. If you've ever looked on our Facebook page and seen all the stuff that we bring and games and tournaments and stuff like that, it just is hard to take it any further than that.
So just in case some of you have never encountered Talon Games is set up at a convention, it is top flight. It is top notch. So ReaperCon is a giant convention. Reaper is it's their convention. John's booth looks better than Reaper's booth. All right, that's how well he spreads out and sets up. So it is kind of a limit when he's got to haul all that stuff. He doesn't want to drive 24 hours to get to Seattle, Washington. It's just so much stuff, and then he's got to bring his products. It's a lot of work, so that's why he's got that limit.
Well, and that's part of what goes in our philosophy is, I mean, obviously we want to sell stuff. We try to sell enough stuff to make the trip deal, but we try to make CAV an experience.
Yes.
We want CAV to be an experience because we are a smaller game company. We are a smaller game, and when you have that experience, it gets you excited. It gets you to be part of that, and you know, I bang it into the ground over and over. I can't find anybody to play. I can't find anybody to play. That's your job.
Yes.
If you have the game and you want somebody to play, you have to get out there and beat the bushes. Sometimes it may take you a couple of months to do it. And like I tell everybody, if you've got a local game store that'll let you, walk in there and just start painting. Just sit down in the afternoon. People will start asking you what you're painting. Hey, these are cool. They'll look at them. And then go, hey, I'm going to come in here next Sunday and run a demo game. Right. All right. And before you know it, you've got 10 people going. So,
and you know what you need to be painting? A badger, because that badger is going to attract everybody. And then you're painting, and that's the curious thing. And now you've got everybody huddled around your table going, man, you are so cool.
So anyway, awesome. So we're getting kind of down to the end of the segment. The other things that I am looking at, and I'm always taking ideas if you got a deal, is I know people have talked about a spaceship game. I would like to, I'm not going to do a spaceship miniatures game like we've done CAV because those games are very limited in scope. After you've fought in the darkness of space 20 times, 21's just, if it's not Star Wars, you're like, whatever. But if I can come up with some kind of a board game or some kind of a beer and pretzels game like Naval War with cards or something, I think that might be a cool way to go.
That could be fun.
I do want to try to figure out and do some kind of a CAV board game. Some kind of I'm kind of thinking on ideas of some kind of interstellar type thing. It may be like I don't know if you've done Mars, like the Mars terraforming Mars.
I have. Yes.
So kind of a resource. I could see something with CAV or something might be like that. So.
Vietnamese checkers. That's what we need.
Yes.
Come on now.
So and also we're looking at doing some CAV dice. So.
Suddenly the room goes quiet.
Yes. Well, we have a big brother in the industry that's doing dice right now. So
that's interesting.
Now that we got a dice guy, we can see what we're gonna go.
Sweet.
Yes, some CAV dice. So we'll see how that all rolls down. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and end this session. We're gonna take a break for a couple of minutes while we reset, and then Hugh is coming back in order to do some modding. And then after that, Todd's taking over with some airbrushing, and then Party Bear, and then Chris. So Thunderhead. So here in just a little bit, Party, Thunderhead, I'm going to get a hold of you so we can
set up,
coordinate, and get all good for the changeover. So be ready. So I'm going to go over here. We're going to click the button, and he'll be back.
And so when Hugh comes on here in just a minute, you're going to get to see these painted bases that John did. And the one in particular that I think is so good. Hugh's going to make sure he points that one out to you. Believe me, it's brilliant. Don't let John undersell himself. He's good.
you've got any questions for me, feel free.